Hello and welcome to GridVision. We're excited to be here this Friday night for the NIS Series top split action, of course, here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Of course, this is one of the crown jewel NIS races of the year, considering this is a full-length NASCAR race. We have 500 laps we're going to be tackling here tonight on GridVision. We have a lot of talented drivers out there as well, the likes of Boyd Hogan, Garrett Maines, Nicholas Vroman. I mean, there is a lot of talent represented in this field. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I got Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Of course, down behind the cameras, the ever awesome Austin Derbyshire. Glad to have him back and glad he was made it safely to where he was supposed to move to. But definitely excited. Of course, let's take a look at the rest of the week, though, just a weekly schedule, just to kind of see what we have in store for us. Of course, we don't have a whole lot of week left. And of course, essentially, we're going to have pretty much Sunday is pretty much what we're going to have left, if I'm not mistaken, which will be a doubleheader once again. Bristol back in action there with the Global Racing Truck Series. So we'll get to see those NASCAR trucks going around that half-mile racetrack at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, later in the night, we've already had a debut. They actually wrapped it up, and championship was won. But that'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the start of a new season, which is going to be the Xfinity RGR Racing Xfinity Series, 9 p.m. It'll be, I do believe, 200 laps at Bristol again. So a double header of Bristol. I guarantee you, by Sunday, afternoon or late Sunday night, I'm going to be pretty tired of Bristol. But Austin, how are you doing tonight? What can we expect here at this half-mile track?
Well, I can tell you I'm not sick of it yet. I'm excited. I got it pulled up on both screens right now. I've got the nice iRacing NIS and the Xfinity race pulled up on both screens because I'm so into this racetrack. And I'm going to be super into it tonight. Even though it's 500 laps and it's going to drag on, it's going to get long, the laps are also going to tick off pretty quick because we're going to get some green flag runs. I do feel like that our top split NIS guys here tonight are going to be able to put on a good show, and we're going to be able to see some really good racing throughout the entire field. So I cannot wait to get this one kicked off.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, it being a half-mile racetrack, the track temp right now, fairly cool. Of course, it being a night race, I do believe a 81-degree track. Tire wear has been very significant all week long. I know a lot of drivers have even gotten down to the 20%, even possibly even could see someone blow a tire. I think, it's all going to be up in the driver's hands on how you manage that equipment throughout a run. I've seen guys go 125 laps on a set of tires. Fuel's not really going to be a concern. Of course, 185 laps, I do believe this is about the fuel tank limit there. 13 sets down in the pits these guys are going to have to play around with. I think one thing that's going to be a big number we're going to keep an eye on is incident limit. The incident points. Because if you get to 25, you're disqualified. And we all know this is a very physical racetrack.
Yeah, very possible for all these guys to get to that limit at some point. I mean, God bless this place. Like I said, we're going to get some green flag running. It's just impossible not to over 500 laps. And of course, as I say that, if we end up having caution after caution for 500 laps, I might leave in the middle of the broadcast. But anyway, I do think that we're going to get something good at some point, right? It's not going to be too crazy the entire time, and we're going to get some hard green flag racing. But it's going to be clean too, I think, at points. I think maybe at the beginning people could just know, hey, it's 500 laps. Let's just log off some laps and get to the end of this thing. None of these guys want to have to take any potty breaks in the middle of it or anything like that. So I'm sure they want to get it done as soon as possible.
That's actually a big thing. I think a lot of drivers are going to possibly end up having to take a body break at some point, but it looks like we have the field set for this evening's action. Garrett Maines is going to be starting atop the board here with a 14.344. Very fast lap there from him. One of the fastest I've seen all week. Second place, Nicholas Vroman. Third place, Sean Conklin, who, of course, is coming off of 2 wins in a row. He won at Darlington. He won at Kansas. Paul Bergoli, of course, sitting 4th place. Dalton Collins, 5th. Matthew Cox starting 6th. 7th, Austin Fitzgerald. 8th place, Cody Richardson. 9th, Michael McLean. And 10th, Joshua Watson.
11th, John Whitenorth. 12th, William Kemp. 13th is going to be the GridVision owner, Justin Levine himself. 14th, Jordan Corin. 15th, David Grantham. 16th, Jeremy Sumter. 17th, Trevor Trago. 18th is Brian Young. 19th, Jose Acosta. And 20th place is James Watson.
And, of course, starting 21st, Jason Wallet. 22nd, Shane Davis. 23rd, Jerry Isaacs. 24th, Justin Campbell. 25th, Carson Breitel. 26th, Alex Coffey. 27th, Kenny Powell. 28th, going to be Greg Wachinski. 29th, Brett Stevens. 30th, Benjamin Forrester, and wrap it out, 31st, Boyd Hogan. 32nd, Nick Kaufman. 33rd, Ronnie Kuritz. And 34th, Jeff Carson. A lot of names that I don't ever see in Top Split NIS, and a lot of familiar names still, though, as well. I mean, I'm looking at some guys like James Watson. I know he's a big Silver Crown kind of star, but, you know, a lot of drivers I'm not used to seeing out here. I'm wondering what the what is going to change, you know, when it comes to the chemistry.
It could be a couple guys just not really used to running together, right? It could lead to some problems. We could see some extra little mayhem between a couple of these guys that may not have ran together before, but I mean, the guys up top are the same guys that we see every single week around here. Garrett Rains, Nicholas Vroman, Sean Conklin, Paul Bergoli. I mean, we see them week in, week out in the Friday night NIS Open. So I think up front we're going to see about the same that we always see.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's the case. I think we're going to see a lot of these guys that we see always up front. But then again, I mean, all it takes is one little bad move for something to take you out of the running for sure at this racetrack. Of course, I do believe pace car lights are out. I think we have one more circuit around this racetrack before we get up and underway. Of course, we're not going to probably see a whole lot of green flag stops here tonight, considering if you do go down pit road for a green flag stop, you're more than likely going to lose 2 to 3, maybe even 4 laps, considering the lap times around this place around 15 seconds. So just imagine that, kind of put it in perspective. 15 seconds, that's 4 laps a minute, Austin.
Yeah, that's a lot. If we can get some green flag running, we're going to be clicking off these 500 laps really, really quick. I've been to the Bristol night race, and it's just crazy how fast the laps tick off whenever they run green. So hopefully we get a little bit of that tonight so we can get some good, hard racing throughout the entirety of the event.
100%. Of course, Garrett Main set to get us underway as the pace car goes down pit road, and we enter the Geico restart zone for the first time this evening. And there is the green flag. What a start there up top. And it looks like Garrett Mains is going to, of course, secure the lead. Sean Conklin, though, not far off the back bumper of
Nicholas
Garrett
Roman's
Mains.
got a black flag. Nicholas Roman got a black flag on that start. He's going to have to pit coming down into turn number 2 right here. Sorry to cut you off. I just heard that over the race chat, and I figured that was pretty important.
Very important. That's pertinent information.
That's a very big mistake from Nicholas Roman, but it's so early in the event that he does have plenty of time to make that up. He's just going to need some quick caution so that he can get some of his lucky dogs coming at some point.
That's a big thing to make a mistake. I mean, especially being in traffic. I would not want to be in traffic at this racetrack. Even so, Garrett Mains, he's going to eventually encounter lap traffic as well, as we see a lot of side-by-side battling going on, I do believe, right around behind Joshua Watson, Austin Fitzgerald, William Kemp, Michael McLean, all battling it out right now for on the edge of the top 10.
Yeah, just hard battling throughout the field right here. So difficult to get off that corner whenever you're getting pinched on the bottom, too wide. I'm not going to see a lot of 3 wide tonight. I just really don't think it's too possible here on the iRacing service at Bristol. I mean, it's just such a tough thing to do. But, man, it's still hard battling throughout the field right here as we're looking back towards about 10th place, coming down the front stretch, going down into turn number 1. See that nice blue Ryko car. That's the 5 of Joshua Watson. Sorry, I can't believe I forgot his name. He wrecked me. Or I wrecked him a couple weeks ago. You'd think that I'd remember that name a little bit better.
You probably should, but I mean, you could tell how hard it is to pass on the bottom here. Austin Fitzgerald, I do believe, on the bottom right now, if I'm not mistaken, trying to make something happen, but you could just tell that it's so difficult. It's almost a work in progress style racetrack where you're not going to be able to make a pass in one sudden sweep like you would see at other tracks.
Yeah, but Joshua Watson got to the outside of Dalton Collins, but we're going to have to take a little bit of an impromptu commercial break here so that we can fix the audio issues for you guys back home.
Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We do apologize for the brief technical issue, but we have gotten it all resolved. Of course, Garrett Main still in the lead. He's got about a 7/10 of a second lead on Sean Conklin at the moment. Of course, Paul McGroley, he's about 8/10, 9/10, almost a second back from them. Very strong run so far from the 7. Of course, Matthew Cox not too far back from Paul Bergoli as well. Cody Richardson wraps out the top 5, and for the most part, I think we've seen everybody kind of chilling out a little bit more than I kind of expected. I do see Justin Levine battling, I do believe, with Jeremy Sumter at the edge of the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's really just goes to show the field knows that we've got so much of race to go. I mean, 485 laps to go at this point. Everybody's just kind of strung out, making sure they don't get into the guy in front of them, make sure they don't kind of come off the corner just a little bit wide as we see Justin Levine look to the inside of Michael McLean there for the 9th place position. What I'm a little worried about for Levine right there running the bottom, I did this multiple times this week, just if you run that bottom, it can be really, really fast, especially through 1 and 2. You kind of get a little grip strip down towards the bottom where the apron meets the racetrack, and you can really just wrap the hell out of the bottom lane, but you can only do it for about 20 laps, and then that right rear tire is gone. You will be so freaking loose that you will not be able to do anything. So just a little bit worried for some of these guys running the bottom, trying to make it work. Like, yeah, you can get these positions, but if you don't get that caution to come out at some points, you can come down and put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires. It's just not going to work out for you in the end.
And we're almost seeing some 3 wide scenarios here. I saw Matthew Cox. He was up in the top 5. He has fallen all the way back to 9th. Something definitely wrong with that race car. He's even on the verge of falling outside of the top 10 there in the 30 machine. I do believe that's him on the bottom. I'm not sure if that's a sports team on that race car. I'm not sure if that's having an effect on his race car. I'm not really a big sports ball guy, but I'll tell you what, we're seeing a lot of 3 wide at Bristol, and that's not something you want to see at a track like this. And you talked about running the bottom. Well, running the top has another effect as well. You could burn tires up just as easy up there as well. So it's really very hard to have that balance, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you can burn them up no matter where you're at, but it's really just about how fast you're moving through the center of the corner and how much wheel you've got into that thing. I mean, if you're running that bottom of the racetrack and you've got so much wheel into it, and you hit that seam where you can really, really wrap and rotate the car as quick as possible, it can just be so tough to save the tire. So I think it's just easier to save the tire up top because you can get out of the throttle pretty early, let the car just rotate through the center of the corner, and it'll just eventually drop and turn without you really having to do too much in the center of the corner, and then you can really power down, and it saves the tires really well if you do it that way. So it's just a little bit easier to save them up top, but I mean, it's definitely, very possible to completely kill it up in the top groove as well.
I'll tell you what, William Kemp right now was holding on for dear life as we saw Michael McLean get by him for that 6th place position. You can tell there's kind of a bottleneck starting to form here behind the 32 as Jordan Corrin, of course, files his way or drives his way up to the back end of that machine. So definitely seeing a lot of, I think, danger zones here.
Oh, a little bit of contact further back. Shane Davis got turned in the middle of turn 1 and 2, but he does a good job saving it. Sorry, he was just a little bit sideways. I thought he was going around in the middle of the corner, but man, he was pretty sideways coming through turns 1 and 2 and does a great job holding on to that machine.
Yeah, him and David Grantham almost had some secondary contact as well after the fact. So, this is not over. A lot of times when you have a loose condition like that, it continues to plague you. As we're going to take a look back at the replay, we'll see that what happened here for Shane Davis. You see he gets up, probably gets tagged in the rear. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if that was the 17 of Brian Young that got into his rear end there, but you saw the secondary contact almost happen there between David Grantham. That could have easily caused a bigger accident than it did.
Yeah, good job from Shane to hold on to that thing. It's really early. It would suck to go out so early, but it does a good job keeping that car straight. But we're kind of getting towards the point of the run where I feel like the tires start hurting for the guys that pushed a little bit too hard. So I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing some guys dropping through the field because they pushed just a little bit too hard at the beginning. As I'm saying, people pushing hard. Levine was really trying to get to the inside of Jordan Corrin there. Still trying to do it, coming off of turn number 4. Just a huge cutback off the corner from both of these drivers. Everybody using just about every inch of the racetrack that they possibly can. I think Levine just about gets his nose to the bottom, but doesn't quite do it. As we look back at Rick Hoffman trying to hold back the 26 for 14th.
Yeah. A lot of battling here on the racetrack, and definitely you can see, I do believe he's up 18 positions, if I'm not mistaken, from what our producer just told us. So definitely very good information there. It really pays, I think, to save your equipment as well. Because, I mean, you're seeing a lot of drivers that are, we're not really prioritizing driving really hard earlier in the run, and it seems like it's paying off. And we're seeing a lot of fall off as well. Half a second for the majority of the drivers out there. Tire fall off at a track
Oh,
like
caution's
this is
out.
very significant. Caution flag is out on the racetrack. And I do believe that is Jeff Carson that has had an issue. That being the 29 of Jeff Carson. Not sure exactly what happened. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage on that vehicle. So we'll have to see possibly if he just might have had a loose condition by himself. Or maybe some contact after. It looks like he got a little bit of help, was trying to avoid a car that spun ahead of him.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell who that was on the outside, but he just got loose coming off the corner. And unfortunately for Jeff, he was kind of an innocent bystander there. He was just running the bottom, not doing anything wrong, and just kind of got taken out there. Unfortunate that happened so early in the event.
Well, luckily, I don't think Jeff got hit too bad. I think he's okay. As you see right here, I'm not sure, it says the 7,
Alex
but I don't
Coffey?
think that's actually the 7. It could very well be Alex Coffey.
I think.
Yes, because I'm seeing a red and white car that looks a lot like that car we're seeing on the replay. So I'm thinking, yes, that is because it's 7 cosmetically, but he, of course, is the 16. He was 2 laps down when this wreck occurred. Luckily, Carson did not get hurt too bad, but I think Carson actually did go a lap down as a result of this, as everybody is coming to pit road.
Unfortunately for Jeff, he does go a lap down there. And unfortunately for Nicholas Froman, he had not gotten the free pass. He was the second car a lap down at the time of caution. So Nick Vroman still stuck 2 laps down after his early penalty on the original race start. But I do think that he'll probably take the wave around here to get one of those back.
Yeah, you can even see that. I do believe Jeff Carson, I think, is probably going to get the wave around as well. See, Joshua Watson, I think, has elected to stay out. Now he's coming down this is interesting. I'm surprised he didn't come down the first time. Maybe a little bit of no, I think he's just playing a little bit of games with us here at the broadcast. He's going to stay out. So Watson staying out on the older tires. So this is kind of an interesting decision here. Of course, Benjamin Forrester, I do believe, doing the no, Benjamin Forrester is coming to pit road. So Watson's going to be on the oldest tires in the field here. This is kind of an interesting decision here. I think he's really betting on another caution coming out. And we're going to see strategy calls like this all race long, Austin. These guys are all going to be really trying to get off strategy to have the best tires at the end of this race. We still have a long way to go, of course, still, though.
Yeah, no kidding. Long way to go. My goodness. We're only not even 10% through this race yet. I mean, we've got a long way for these drivers to go. A lot of guys just took their first set of tires. Unfortunately for Roman, he couldn't take the wave around because Joshua Watson stayed out on the racetrack. So Roman's still going to be stuck 2 laps down early in the event. Tough to see one of our fastest guys here stuck behind, but it was his own mistake on the initial restart, so not too surprising to see.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Still a long race. Very difficult to get your laps back at this racetrack. So he's going to be trying to come back from that. I mean, but if he just stays alive, I think he'll get back into it. I have no doubts that Vroman is going to get back into this. But the only bad thing about it is that he's going to be in traffic, and that's anytime you're in traffic at Bristol, that's the danger zone. You could easily get involved in a crash that takes you out of the race just from, just from being in the wrong place at the, wrong time, and that could very well happen to Roman. I hope not, but we'll have to wait and see. He still does have a chance, though. His pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to go green here once again, as I do believe that was our first caution. So fairly green start to the race.
Yeah, no kidding. Good job from everybody on the opening start, making it, about 35 laps. It's not too bad for just starting out, but I do expect Joshua Watson's going to drop like a absolute rock on this restart as the pace car drops down on the exit of turn number 4, and Joshua Watson brings us back to green.
Yeah, really good start there for him, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to see the evidence of his older tires here right there, already 3 wide already. Look, did you see Garrett Maines and Conklin both with such confidence to get around him like they did? Here comes Conklin. He's going to challenge for the lead. Side by side, teammates go. Garrett Maines and Conklin side by side as we see Joshua Watson dropping through the field.
Excuse me, Garrett Maines is probably going to eke out ahead in this little battle right here. He's got that preferred top groove as he now takes the lead coming off of turn number 4 to the start-finish line. Paul Bergoli doing a really good job working his way up to 3rd place at the beginning of this race. And Justin Levine started in 13th position, and he's already up to 5th and probably going to make a pretty easy pass on Joshua Watson here pretty soon for the 4th place position, just with Watson being on such old tires. This is such a big track position race. I know that it being a short track, you would kind of hope it wouldn't be the case. I think we're still going to see a lot of passing, right? But if you get stuck in the middle of this pack, you really have to wear out your tires to be able to kind of march your way through the field, and just being up front is such a huge advantage in terms of tire saving. It's such a difficult track to pass because both lanes can be so even, and you really want to be in the top to pass. So it just makes it for a really, really tough race to be able to march your way up through the field. But everybody up here in the top 5 is really licking their chops, with Garrett Main, Sean Conklin, Paul Bergoli, Justin Levine, and side by side for 5th place, Joshua Watson and Michael McLean.
Yeah, Watson's held on a little bit better than I kind of suspected he would, but I think he is starting to drop now. It looks like Jordan Corrin is going to get by him. William Kemp probably as well. Jeremy Sumter, he just entered the top 10 for the first time in that 27. Of course, he is cosmetically the 9, looking like Chase Elliott out there. But very fast, Jeremy Sumter. I know he took quite a break on iRacing for quite a while. Back in action, he's definitely got a lot of potential as well. And, of course, Boyd Hogan as well has entered the top 10 for the first time. You always know that Boyd Hogan's going to cause, he's going to be the one that comes out here and hypes everybody up. That's for sure. He's such a talent.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan, 21
positions.
Yeah.
Oh, and the problems is Boyd Hogan takes Jeremy Sumter 3 wide, and unfortunately Sumter gets loose on the bottom and smashes the wall. I think we're getting ready to see a caution flag, and there it is. Jeremy Sumter missing his front end, I do believe, after that big hit, turning that race car into a modified. I definitely would be curious to see this again. I mean, it was a 3 wide scenario, and very difficult to go 3 wide at Bristol, to say the least. He's going to take a tow, probably very frustrated.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a big replay of that one. That was a little weird.
Yeah, you saw a 3 wide. I mean, Boyd went through the middle, and I don't think he did anything particularly wrong. We're going to have to take a look back at this. I mean, I would assume anytime you're 3 wide with Boyd Hogan, it could kind of cause you to be a little anxious, I'd say. But caught it a little bit late. Oh, but look at the damage. Oh, and that was, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Matthew Cox had just hit him after the fact.
Nowhere Cox or Acosta could go. They were just dedicated to that outside line, and all of a sudden a car just appeared in front of them. So just really nothing that they could do in that instant.
Well, right here, you see the 3 wide. And yeah, Boyd, I don't think Boyd really came down on Jeremy. I think Jeremy, I don't know if he maybe had some air in between those 2 drivers, or possibly just got loose getting back to the gas. I'm not sure what happened there, but definitely just heartbreaking for Sumter, who was running in the top 10 there. As we take another look, there might have been a hair of a touch. I don't know. It's hard to see from this view.
Yeah, it's just a little unfortunate more than anything. I don't feel like anybody did really anything wrong, and it was such light contact. It's just that it's coming out of the corner where the banking is going away, and you're kind of entering that flat zone, and they just make a little bit of door-to-door contact. Unfortunately for Jeremy, whenever you're that car on the inside and you get your right rear getting into somebody else's kind of like anywhere from the door on back, it's just kind of hard to hold on to, especially whenever the banking's falling away like that. And it looked like there was no contact there, but I mean, that could have very well been netcode. I mean, coming through there 3 wide with everybody so tight coming off the corner of Bristol, I find it hard to believe that Sumter just kind of spun it out like that from that, just scenario. So I feel like he might have gotten a little bit of netcode problem there coming off the corner.
Yeah, it could very well have been the case. It's just a heartbreaker for that driver. I mean, considering this early in the race to be out, and I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate. Boyd Hogan, of course, up to now 7th place. Big, one of the biggest movers here in the race, as Garrett Maines, of course, still in the lead. I tell you who's been really giving him a run for his money, though, Sean Conklin. I mentioned it before at the top of the broadcast. Sean Conklin won at Kansas. He's won at Darlington. He won the last 2 races in a row here and the NIS Open on Friday night. Can he go maybe get the 3-peat here, Austin?
I mean, he definitely could. I don't know. Garrett Maines, Sean Conklin are just both so good. Garrett Maines is kind of the established veteran of the service in a sense, right? He's a pro coke driver, just does an amazing job on Tuesday nights, and then comes in here and dominates NIS Open. But Sean Conklin's kind of like a young up-and-comer, kind of taking the series by storm in terms of like NIS and whatnot here recently, being only 17 years of age, being able to beat super fast guys week in, week out. He won at Darlington, he won at Kansas. It would be really cool to see Sean Conklin kind of 3-peat here in what would be the real life's round of 16. Obviously, none of that in the NIS Open, but Sean Conklin, man, has really impressed me the last couple weeks.
Oh, no, definitely. Very much so. He has very much impressed me. Of course, pace car lights have gone out. We're getting ready to get back going once again here. GridVision owner up to now the top 5. He is flirting with possibly being on the podium at the moment. So definitely Justin Levine. I do believe he finished second last week at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. No, third, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely looking forward to seeing what he could do as the green flag, of course, is back out in the air. Garrett Maines, solid restart. But here comes Conklin once again trying to get by on the bottom. Not quite able to get there. He's going to slide in right behind his teammate. And he blocks the run from Justin Levine, who takes over the third place position side by side, though, for, I do believe, fourth, as Jordan Corrin and Paul Bergoli go to battle.
Man, Jordan Corrin's just absolutely flying around the outside of 3 and 4, being able to get to the outside of Paul Bergoli. Paul started this run in third place and now dropped all the way back to fifth. And Corrin's trying to make the outside work against Levine, coming off of turn number 4. Levine almost crowds him up into the wall, but he actually leaves just enough space there coming off the corner. But Corrin is not done yet. Coming on the outside of turn number 2, gets a really good run down the backstretch, deep down into turn number 3, and cuts back off on exit to take that position away from Justin Levine. And Levine slides just barely in front of Michael McLean for fourth.
Yeah, I'm almost looking at Jordan Corrin here. I think he might be burning his equipment up, but he is looking incredibly fast on the short run right now. So curious to see how that kind of plays out as we see Boyd Hogan getting ready to go 3 wide again here. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there off the corner for Boyd as he tries to go side by side with Paul Bergoli. He almost went 3 wide with him and Michael McLean. As this is awesome to watch. Boyd, I mean, he is the showstopper in a lot of ways, or should I say the show starter. Every time you watch this driver on the track, he is electrifying the audience, that's for sure.
Yeah, glad to see him back here in the Friday night NIS Open after we saw him a couple weeks ago at Daytona. Haven't seen him since then, but at Daytona he had such a fast hot rod, had a couple teammates in the field that could help him out in certain instances, but unfortunately he got taken out in somebody else's accident towards the front of the field really early on in that event, and he just wasn't able to recover from there. But we know Boyd Hogan is just crazy quick every single week that he runs. Unfortunately, we don't see him more often in the NIS Open, but you know, I love it whenever we do because it's just one more challenger towards the front of the field, and it just adds a little bit of more randomness throughout the event, because we just never know who's going to win whenever you get more and more fast drivers every single week in the race. So really cool to see Boyd Hogan here. But man, you were talking about Jordan Corrin earlier, maybe burning up his tires. He's passed Sean Conklin for second place. It's the driver that has won both of our last 2 events, and he just blew his doors off, and now he's hounding Garrett Maines, the pro Coke driver, for the race lead.
Yeah, but I don't know, though. I mean, I'm starting to see evidence that maybe the tires are starting to maybe catch up with him. I mean, a lot of times when you drive that hard, I've seen it time and time again, you know, it catches up with you, and these guys are going to pass him like he's standing still at some point. Now, last time by, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. I mean, he's running that top, and you can see it got a little bit loose coming off of 4 there.
Garrett runs his line in 3 and 4, though, kind of takes away that outside advantage that Corrin had. But Garrett really likes the bottom in 1 and 2. This time he kind of runs the middle, not really taking his lane, but kind of shoving him more up the racetrack than he may have wanted to do. Talking about the 51 there. And that 51 is just really dedicated to the outside line. Every time he's going down into the corner, he's peeking his nose to the right of Garrett Maines, trying to get that good run off. Oh, man, he just about has to check up. Going into turn number 1 is Garrett. Like I mentioned, he just kind of runs his lane, mirror driving just a little bit to keep the 51 back there. At the end of the day, it is a track position race, and if a caution comes out at any point here for the 51, like you mentioned, I think he's burning up his stuff a little bit, but if they can run 10, 15, 20 laps and then a caution comes out and forces everybody down pit road, you know, who cares about that set of tires? They're never going back on the race car. So I think that's kind of what the 51 is looking at right now. If he can get the race lead right here and just gets that caution that he needs, he can really be able to dictate the rest of the race just from the lead going down pit road.
I like what I'm seeing from the 20 here, of course, that being the 51. Cosmetically, he's really successfully diamonding the corners. Like you see, he enters high and then kind of exits a little bit lower, and he's really straighting. He's making the corner or the exit of the corner straight, and I really like what he's doing there. He's getting huge runs of speed, but you're seeing that Conklin's starting to put pressure back on him as well as Levine. I mean, there's a line of cars that are sitting behind this race car, and if one of them gets below him and he tries to do that diamond line again, we could easily have contact. As we even have lap traffic, I do believe, coming into play here very shortly as well. I'm not sure exactly who that is. I do believe that is Alexander Coffey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we're starting to come up on a couple lap cars just from, I think Coffey maybe had a little bit of damage from earlier. Maybe he got it all fixed under a caution, but then he didn't make too heavily a contact. So kind of surprised actually to see him kind of drop back this far this early in the run right here. But Here we go. Garrett Maines trying to make that pass. Could have maybe opened the door for the 51 of Corin. Didn't quite happen there. As I think you were right. I think Corin's starting to feel that right front tire. Sean Conklin's kind of eking his way back into this battle a little bit, just inching his way forward back on the 51. But it's going to be tough to make that pass on the bottom until the 51's tires have completely fallen off that machine. As we look further back towards the back of the pack, looking at another battle for about 15th place or about 20th place.
Yeah, still a lot of battles all over this racetrack. I do believe we're watching Greg Wachinski sitting behind the 37, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I think that is cosmetically the 37. I believe that is Trevor Trigo, if I'm not mistaken. They're side by side, if I'm not mistaken, with Jerry Isaacs. Now, Jerry Isaacs is a name that I'm familiar with. If I'm not mistaken, I think he runs in the Major Series. Ran in the Pro 4 or the Crandon World Cup last Saturday. So definitely interesting to see him in multiple GridVision broadcasts. Definitely for sure. Go from Pro 2, Pro 4 off-road trucks into the NASCAR next gen. That's a big difference.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's a little weird sometimes to see, the custom numbers. Whenever we get some new names in the field like we do this week, it's a little hard with the custom numbers to really be able to just throw our knowledge around, exactly figure out who we're talking about at any given time. Sometimes our producer's kind of switching back to about 20th place, and I'm like, who the hell are we looking at right now? I don't understand who's this guy? I haven't seen him in like 3 years. I don't know who this is, blah, blah, blah. So sorry if we're a little bit slow on some of that, but we're still watching that hard battle now. Going back a little bit further, that was Joshua Watson, and now back up to the front of the field. I know that paint scheme. That's Garrett Maines running up in the lead right now, coming through 3 and 4, and he is really starting to pull out a little bit of a gap on the 51 here. That 51 is finally kind of run the good out of those Goodyear Eagles. Those front tires are dying just a little bit. He's finding it a little bit harder to turn in the center of the corner, having to probably use a little bit more brake to get that front end down into the racetrack to let it turn off the corner. But he's still using that outside line so that Sean Conklin cannot get a good run, a good advantage coming off the corner. Just so hard to pass on the bottom of this racetrack unless you want to go ahead and kill your stuff too. So Sean's going to have to set up this pass really, really smart. It's kind of one of those things that you expect from somebody with experience. Unfortunately, Sean doesn't have a ton, being only 17 years of age, hasn't been on the service too long. But even with that, he's shown an unbelievable amount of potential the last couple weeks. Doesn't matter how much experience you have if you are just unbelievably quick. And we see that from Sean Conklin week in and week out.
Love this cockpit. Yeah, oh, there he goes. Conklin into the inside wall. And that is going to possibly bring the caution out, maybe. I don't know. He stopped on the, I do believe, apron off of the racing surface. He's coming back up. Caution flag has come out, as we see, of course, Sean Conklin dropping through the field. He got a pretty good, sizable contact on the inside wall. Of course, I think patience started to run out there for Conklin. You can see right here. I wonder if there was some contact. He got a little bit tight up off of turn 4, maybe? Or did you think the other driver came down?
The racetrack. The 51 didn't use the racetrack, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I mean, he's got half a lane to the wall, if not a little bit more, coming off the corner. Obviously, Sean's thinking he's going to use all the racetrack, him coming off the top side like that, and we're going to watch it through 3 and 4 here. The 51 just doesn't track out on exit whatsoever. He just pinches down. I mean, obviously, the 54's coming up, but at that point, you kind of expect the 51 to be closer to the wall. I don't necessarily think that he did anything wrong, right? He's running his line, and it wasn't egregious. It's just that contact. It's what we saw earlier with Jeremy Sumter on the inside of Boyd Hogan. If you're the car on the inside and you get your right rear into somebody's door on the outside, or their their left rear quarter panel, then you're just going to get turned hard into the inside wall. I mean, you can see that was just very minor contact. Any other racetrack, they just rub doors a little bit and they're both able to drive away. But unfortunately at Bristol, where the banking is just falling away all of a sudden, coming off the corner, you make that little bit of contact and just going to shoot you hard into the inside wall like we just saw.
Yeah, and I think that Jordan was pretty much doing consistently driving that same line all that last stint. I mean, he kind of was diamonding it off and exiting a little bit lower for sure. So I think it was just Sean kind of, like I said, I think his patience started to run out, and I think that Jordan, of course, was running a little bit lower than I think Sean wanted him to. And, I think it was just more of a racing deal than anything. I mean, really, I wouldn't put fault on any of those drivers. I think it's just limited space at Bristol. I mean, this is going to work out perfectly for Jordan, though, considering we talked about him really utilizing those tires and really roughing them up quite successfully. Well, now he got a fresh set. So everybody, I think, got a fresh set as well. Nicholas Froman, I think, has gotten back on the lead lap. How about that?
Lead lap back? When did he get his first lap back? I don't remember him getting his first one.
I don't know.
But hey, good for Nick Froman being able to get back on the lead lap. We know he's unbelievably quick, so he's going to be able to pick through this field relatively easily, I do believe. I know that saving tires is tough, and I mentioned earlier about how hard it is to come through the field, but a driver of Nick Roman's caliber with a Ryko set up under him, I mean, he's just gonna he's gonna be unbelievably quick. So I think he's gonna have a good showing for us here towards the end.
No, I definitely agree. I think he's got the speed, he's got the experience. You talked about experience, and I gotta say, my heart breaks for Sean Conklin right now. I mean, he hit that wall pretty hard. I'm hoping they're able to get that thing repaired and him get back out here because I really want to see him go 3 for 3. I mean, I think that that would be a huge statement. Despite his age, really shows how much potential he's got. Just it's heartbreaking, but definitely we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be able to, you know, get back out there and keep running. But I mean, a lot of times when you get contact like that, it can very much affect your race. Luckily, he hit the front, I'd say, fairly square, and he didn't, I don't think, affect his suspension. Now, that's a big deal at a track like this.
Yeah, if he's got any suspension damage, it's going to be really, really tough to come back from that kind of accident. So I hate it for Sean Conklin, but I think that's going to be his three-peat run coming to an end at this point. I just don't think that he's going to be able to do it. That pains me to say because he had a good run going, and I don't think that he necessarily did anything wrong in that wreck. It's just two cars going for the same piece of real estate.
But here we go. Pace car preparing to take that left turn down pit road. And, of course, Garrett Maines has pretty much been the dominating force all race thus far. And there goes the pace car entering the Geico restart zone. The green flag flies once again as Garrett Maines takes off Justin Levine. Very good start there for him. Side by side, Nick Kaufman and Jordan Corrin battling for the third place position. Of course, Paul Bergoli back up in the top 5.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple new faces again up front. Nick Kaufman, haven't talked about him all night. I know we're only almost a fifth of the way through the race, but man, these laps just tick off so quick. It's crazy. But he's done a good job working from the 32nd place position up to 3rd. What in the world has Nick Kaufman been doing all night to be able to do that? Oh man, Corrin gets the outside wall coming off of turn number 4 right behind him. Thought that he was maybe going to bounce it off and go down into the inside wall, but he was able to keep that thing straight. No harm, no foul, and he still keeps that thing going down into turn number 3 just ahead of Paul Bergoli. That's not a new name, but Michael McLean has been slowly inching his way up towards the front of the field the entire course of the event so far. And it's really just about keeping your nose clean at this point, right? We saw somebody stupid fast like Sean Conklin makes, I wouldn't say his own mistake, right? But he definitely could have done something to avoid that accident. And you see somebody do something like that who's so quick at the beginning of the race, not even a fifth of the way through. It's just kind of heartbreaking to see. So I think a lot of guys see that we're just behind him here. Anyone from, the top 5 or 10 cars see somebody that fast do that, and they're like, okay, we just need to make sure we keep our fenders on it, and we're going to have a chance at the end of this thing to win.
I got to be honest with you, the level of aggression that we're seeing from Corrin right now is really high. I think he is very much being very aggressive at the moment. He's Nick Kaufman. He's almost about to wreck him here, to be honest with you. He gets really close to his rear end, almost like he's trying to bump draft this 19 ahead of him here. Just trying to get the runs and get side by side here. Just watch. Oh, I think this is just too aggressive for this early in the race, to be completely honest. And I think that's why Paul Bergoli backed off a little bit to 6. I think he sees this. He's like, go ahead, Michael McLean. You want to get in that hornet's nest, you go right ahead.
Yeah, and I think the 19 might have hurt you a little bit because he really gave a lot of room coming off of turn number 2 to the 51 and just let him have that outside finally. And now Michael McLean coming down on the outside right now, trying to take the 4th place spot away from the 19 of Nick Kaufman. And it looks like he's going to be able to do it as well. It looks like the 19's having a little bit of a blinking issue for all the other guys in the field. I haven't really seen it myself.
I haven't seen it at all, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hearing multiple people on the radio getting on there talking to him, saying that he's got an issue. So I think he just did a good job getting out of the way, making sure he doesn't take any drivers out before the 100 lap mark, as we're just now hitting the 1/5 mark in the race. Nice to see. I feel like it went by pretty quick. Only a couple cautions. Everybody's just logging these laps off really, really quick. And like I said, that's good to see because, 500 laps can last a stupid amount of time if they just keep wrecking. But, man, the 51, Jordan Corrin is just doing an amazing job. But, man, Michael McLean looks like he's gotten into the wall somewhere as he's just dropping like a rock through the field at this point.
Yeah, that was almost a caution. He came almost to a full stop right there, fell back to 14th position. So something definitely just went wrong for Michael McLean. We're going to take a look back at the replay and see exactly what just happened. I think it might have just been possibly got loose. We'll have to see of course, we're watching the 24 machine. And, yeah, he just got loose out of 4.
Ooh,
very easy to do. Ooh. Yeah, he could have easily hit the inside wall or overcorrected and came up into the rest of the field. Now, that's something I've seen a lot of this week is guys overcorrecting a slide and going up in front of the field and killing some other people. So luckily McLean really did just the perfect amount of correction, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the next gen machine, but it seems that whenever you get loose like that, I mean, it almost looked like it bottomed out the way that car came around on him. But
He did
I
an
don't know what it is
awesome
about
job.
the next gen machine, but a lot of times whenever you turn to the right, whenever you're on a power slide like that, for whatever reason, the front tires just grip up crazy good out of nowhere. I don't know if it's just the weight transfer of the car kind of reacting to you turning so far right and just hooking you, or if it's just the front tires gripping up so massively at a random spot whenever you're trying to save it. But it really just leads to a lot of overcorrections in the middle of the corner and to where you go hard into the outside wall nose first. I've seen it time and time again over and over,
Oh,
over the
yeah.
past year or so in the next gen. So I'm not quite sure exactly what that issue is. I just know that you really cannot turn the wheel too much to the right or else you are going around into the outside wall.
He did the perfect thing, though. I mean, what he did to alleviate that was he lifted. He kind of got out of the gas, didn't try to power out of it. He just kind of lifted, then turned to the right. Now, a lot of drivers, they don't really lift that much or brake or, you could see his RPMs when we were looking back at that replay. His RPMs went down. He was not really trying to gas up out of that, and that's what I think kept him from overcorrecting into traffic. So, really awesome job to Michael McLean. Got to give him a lot of credit for that. And of course, he recovered. He's in 13th right now. We're watching some big battles, though, on the racetrack. We just saw Jordan Corn. He's still fighting pretty hard with Garrett Maines, but I do believe we're watching Nicholas Vroman trying to work his way through the field. I'm trying to see exactly where he is. And I do believe he is actually in 26th, right behind teammate Sean Conklin.
Yeah, I thought Sean Conklin would be a little bit more killed, and Vroman would just completely fly by him. Vroman just had that pit road penalty, or not pit road penalty, but penalty on the start of the race and had to come down pit road. So I thought Vroman would honestly just fly through the field pretty easy, especially past a car on a lot of damage like his teammate Sean Conklin. But honestly, Sean's done a really good job even with that nose damage, keeping that thing in front of his teammate. Now he's trying to work around Jose Acosta here for the 25th position. Does a good job, or 24th position, does a good job getting that coming off the corner. Nicholas Vroman now following through on the outside, going down into turn 3 side by side into the corner. Vroman's going to have a really good run coming off of the top turn number 4. Not able to get the move completely done coming through there, but it looks like he's going to be able to throw it down into turn number 1 and get a really good run coming off of 2, and he's going to take the 25th spot from the 15, Jose Acosta.
Yeah, I think Vroman's probably really wanting to get by Conklin, but I think Conklin has been fast enough that he really hasn't, I don't think, been a detriment to his teammate. As of course you even see, I do believe that is Dalton Collins, if I'm not mistaken, right followed behind Joshua Watson. Now Joshua Watson, I'm surprised he was up towards the front earlier in this race. Has not been a really big factor here at around this 100 lap mark. I mean, he's back in 17th, trying to get by Collins right now.
Yeah, maybe this just isn't a Joshua Watson racetrack. I mean, we've seen Watson so fast week in, week out. Those Ryko setups have just been top tier here for the last handful of weeks, if not a little bit more than that. And just, we're used to seeing Joshua Watson up front battling for race wins, battling for the top 5. And it's kind of weird to see him kind of struggling here tonight so far, back down in 17th position. But he did kind of go on a little bit of alternate strategy where he didn't pit on one pit stop. So maybe he just fell so far throughout the field, and then the caution came out again and everybody took tires, and he just is not rebounded yet. There's still 383 laps to go in this event. So he's got plenty of time to work his way up to the front as he gets to the outside of Dalton Collins. Just about takes that 16th place position away, going down into turn number 3. Coming off the corner, though, he's going to get a really good run and actually complete the move.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of other drivers really driving their way through the field. Boyd Hogan is up to 5th right now. I do believe he is at the moment catching up to Nick Kaufman, who's in that 4th place position. So I really think Boyd might have something for Garrett Maines. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. Of course, he's been one of the bigger movers. We also looking a little bit further back. I'm watching Brian Young. He's battling, I do believe, with Jason Wallet right at the edge of the top 10. That is for, I do believe, the 10th place position right now. Oh, as you see, Levine is going to be getting by Jordan Corn again. As Corn, of course, has burnt his equipment up. It looks like Levine has successfully gotten by that driver.
And don't look now, but just behind him, Boyd Hogan coming through into 5th place, or coming through, now passing for 4th of Nick Kaufman. Boyd Hogan has just absolutely torn through this field early, coming from the 31st place position, and he's got good long run speed. We've seen him overtake Kaufman It looks like he's going to get by the 51 with absolutely no trouble once he gets down to his inside. Just the speed delta that we're seeing between those two race cars. I mean, the way Boyd's able to turn off the corner this late in the run compared to the 51 there coming off of turn number 4 was just really, really impressive. And he clears the 51 in one corner. I mean, Boyd is absolutely on rails at this point. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's the only one in the field that could maybe challenge our race leader, if Garrett Maines, at some point.
No, I think that could definitely be the possibility. I mean, looking at speed-wise, he's right at the same kind of speed as Maines. Now, of course, we're about 37 laps into this stint. We haven't got to that part where we're going to be like 100 laps into a run, which I think we could get to that, to where some driver will have 100 laps on their tires, and that could be the difference maker. You know, I've seen it before, and it looks like Garrett Maines, I think, or Boyd is about 3 miles an hour faster, as he's actually encountering some lap traffic. I do believe that is Greg Wachinski in that monster machine, as he's going to go side by side with that lap car and probably get right by him. But Boyd, of course, himself is a builder. I mean, he builds race cars for Coke drivers. I expect he knows what he's doing. And the thing about this track is it's going to continue to rubber up. He's the kind of guy that's going to be able to make adjustments to the race car as the run goes on.
Yeah, and to your point, if you're building setups for crazy fast drivers like Coke Series drivers, you got to be pretty fast yourself. A slow setup builder is not really going to be able to make a race car fast. They just can't get in there and test it like they need to. But somebody like Boyd, who's got the talent behind the wheel and the talent up on the pit box, can kind of use both to his advantage. And it just creates a bigger advantage compared to the rest of the field, because you have to put in so many laps yourself, practicing, testing, being able to do every little bit on top of the pit box, and then you jump behind the wheel and just fly like we've seen Boyd Hogan do at the beginning part of this race.
I'm wondering what's going on here, because Brian Young just came down pit road. I'm not sure exactly why. He was up in the top 10. He was actually, I think, 10th there. Now he's back in 30th. I'm not sure why he just came down pit road, but this is a little bit early. I think I see maybe a hint of some right side damage. But yeah, I'm curious. Maybe some drivers starting to struggle. In the 17 could have been one of them. And I was kind of hoping that Brian Young was going to be having a better night here tonight, considering that he had an awful night at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. He's been having a lot of bad luck here recently.
Well, I think it's interesting. We saw that left side hit the ground, and he never moved. So he's stuck in pit lane. I don't know. He might have something going on. Yeah, and he's just exited the race car there for a second and jumped back in. So I don't really know what's going on with Brian Young, but I think that maybe he's got something going on in real life or something that he's got to attend to. Maybe he had to take the pee break. Maybe he didn't get the caution that he needed at this point to go use the bathroom. Maybe he was about to bust. So he had to, I probably should have said burst, but anyway, yeah, we're only 134 laps in, and I already made that mistake right there. So, yep, Brian Young's getting ready to bust, and he had to come down pit road.
Boyd Hogan, though, up now to 3rd place. He's about 3/10 back from Justin Levine, and we'll never talk about this again. But definitely awesome race thus far. Play me out, Johnny.
Let's take a commercial break.
I think that's a great idea. We're going to take a quick step away, pay some attention to our sponsors. Thanks for joining us on GridVision's coverage of Top Split NIS.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision coverage of NIS Top Split action at Bristol Motor Speedway. My name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras, and it looks like the yellow flag has come out for Brian Young. Unfortunately, the 17, I do believe it came out of pit road after a potty break or something. I'm not sure. I don't want to make assumptions, but the 17 definitely spun it out of turn number 4, right in front of Joshua Watson, and we saw some big contact there.
I could say a lot after what happened before the commercial
We're supposed
break.
to reset. We're supposed to reset.
Well, I would have reset if it wasn't Brian freaking Young coming out of the corner, spinning out 13 laps down after he comes back from his potty break. And, yeah, I don't, Brian Young probably shouldn't have done that laps down, but, you know, it is what it is. Kind of unfortunate there for Joshua Watson. He's going crazy in the chat. He's not happy. I don't blame him. If I had somebody come back from the bathroom like that and take me out, I'd be pretty pissed off too. So unfortunately, unfortunate for Josh Watson. As we see, Brian just got he got really high up the racetrack and tried to cut it down too much on the throttle. Watson probably had enough room to go around the outside, but he would have had to put it in the fence. Probably would have been the better call. I'd rather have some right side damage than some front end damage, but still, I mean, you're just seeing a car stop in front of you on the racetrack. It's hard to make that call on just like a split second notice. So just unfortunate for Watson.
100%, and you know, for it being, you know, still so early in the race, and just it's just unfortunate. We're going to take a look through the cockpit camera here of, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is 17 of Young, and just, I mean, he just all of a sudden lost it all of a sudden. I mean, it just shows how on edge these next-gen machines can be as he kicks it around, and no wonder Joshua Watson was so upset. I mean, it has not been the best race for him already, and I think we're going to start to see tempers continue to probably flare as well. I don't think a lot of these guys are going to be sending each other Christmas cards after this race, for sure. But this kind of helped out Boyd Hogan, I'd say, considering Boyd is going to be right behind Garrett Maines on the restart.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. A really good job from Boyd Hogan coming from the back of the field. He had taken second place from Justin Levine either right before the commercial break or during it. And now he's going to be right on his back bumper, starting to his outside on this restart. And we've seen some people get some really good starts on the outside as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Boyd can maybe hold on to that the right rear quarter panel going down into turn number 1 and wrap that outside. But Garrett Maines has just been really strong also on the restart. So I kind of doubt it, but kind of pointing out some other drivers that have worked their way through the field. Nicholas Froman is up to 10th place. I don't know when the hell that happened. I guess he did a really good job towards the end of that run, did a good job saving his tires, and was able to pick his way through the field. Sean Conklin with damage up to 17th. So good job for both those guys just to save their stuff towards the beginning of that run. They got the long green flag run that they needed to pick off a lot of guys, and they're both kind of back in contention. I think Conklin's probably still a little bit too far back with a little too much damage. So it'll be a little bit harder from him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Nicholas Froman come back into this race. I mean, we've seen him be down and out in races before. We remember Atlanta, our first race that we did for GridVision for the NIS Open Series. And Vroman was completely out of that race, a lap down, and then had a bunch of cautions at the end. And somehow, with the green-white checkers, went from 25th to winning the race on the last lap as the field wrecked in front of him. coming to the checker flag. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more of the same from Nicholas Roman.
No, 100%. You can never count him out here as we get ready to go back green. The pace car is going to be dipping out of the way. Of course, Garrett Maines in control of the restart. Green flag is back out in the air.
Oh, man.
And
That
what a
outside
start.
line.
Just did not get going. I almost would maybe feel like maybe Boyd Hogan was in the wrong gear or something like that. Just did not get going. He even got passed by Nick Kaufman in that 19 machine. So Boyd definitely missing the mark a little bit there. You also see a big battle. Paul Bergoli and John Wittendorf. We're going to take a look at the replay here, taking a look on board through the cockpit of Boyd Hogan. He was in first gear. He shifted up to second.
Yep.
Entered the Geico restart zone, and then just did not get going. I think he might have shifted up a little too soon there.
Yeah, he shifted up to second before the pace car pulled off, or right when the pace car pulled off, and it's a first gear restart track, so just a little bit of a sloppy mistake there from Boyd. We see him get up to the front row, thinking he's going to be able to challenge for the lead here, only 150 laps into the event, but just made a little bit of a mistake there and cost himself big time. I mean, I think a couple people probably got a couple 4Xs there, and as you mentioned earlier, once you get 25, you're done. So that's a little tough. It's just kind of a simple, stupid 4X for a bunch of people to get, but, you know, if you're up towards the front of the field, you're probably not going to have too many X's, so it'll probably end up being no harm at the end of this. But it does kind of suck for Boyd to kind of lose that track position because he worked so hard to get it. Now he's back to fourth place. He's going to have to pass another couple cars again. As we look at the front, Garrett Maines is holding off Justin Levine. Levine's done a good job. He just hasn't shown that pace that I think that he's going to be able to, or he hasn't shown any pace to make me think that he's going to be able to get past Garrett Maines. I mean, Maines has just been so unbelievably quick at the beginning of this race. We saw Corin try to get by him using all of his tire at the short run to try to get past Maines, and it just hasn't happened. So I think it's going to be really, really tough to get past Garrett Maines. Probably going to take a miracle to be able to pass him.
No, I agree. I definitely think so for sure. As we see Boyd Hogan wrapping around the going around the top of Nick Kaufman. Now that could have been a whole lot worse of a mistake. As we take a look back at the replay, looks like we have something that has gone wrong on the racetrack. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure who that exactly is.
It was Corin on the inside. I'm not sure who the 34 is.
Jerry Isaacs is the, and you see Corin, of course, familiar paint scheme there in that Bass Pro machine, but that did not bring a caution. Now, that's kind of shocking. Of course, Jerry Isaacs, I had mentioned him before, but dang, I'm surprised that didn't bring a caution out, but luckily they were able to keep going. Jordan Corin, of course, up to 17th now after that incident, as Garrett Maines trying to hold off Justin Levine, and as I mentioned, Boyd Hogan has recovered fairly well. Now, the thing that he could have done there, Austin, that could have been a whole lot worse, is he could have money shift and blew the engine. So, I mean, even though it was bad, it wasn't race ender bad. So that's one good thing about all that. I'll tell you one driver that I have got to say I'm very impressed with here tonight. Nick Kaufman. He's been one of the drivers that really has just come out of nowhere and is up in fourth place right now, as well as Michael McLean has shown a lot of pace here tonight.
Yeah, I admittedly had not heard of Nick Kaufman before this event. I don't think I've seen him in any NIS Opens. I don't recognize his name from racing with him at all. So to see him up in the top 5 of the top split at Bristol and work his way up from the 32nd position is super, super impressive from the driver of the 19. It'll be interesting to see what he can do throughout the course of the event. Even on the long run, he didn't fall back very far. So kind of cool to see a new name up front that I haven't seen before and be able to challenge with our race leaders.
No, 100%. I mean, if he's get a top 5 here with the amount of talent that we have, I think that he definitely has a good shot at it. As we see a battle developing for the lead, Boyd Hogan has caught Garrett Maines and is right on the back bumper. They also have a little bit of lap traffic coming up as well, and I do believe Jerry Isaacs is the at the back of that lap traffic. So could we see possibly lap traffic interfere with this battle for the lead? I think it's definitely very likely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And just a lap ago, I don't know if we can get a replay of lap 167 from Sean Conklin going down the backstretch at some point. But, you know, first things first, we got a race battle, or a battle for the race lead. Boyd Hogan looking to the inside there. Garrett Maines wasn't able to make it stick. Going to be hard to pass Garrett Maines on the bottom. I mean, he's just got such a crazy momentum coming off the corner whenever he's running that defensive line. Kind of makes it crazy difficult for people to make the pass. So I think it's going to be tough for him to make a move on Garrett Maines without moving him. Yeah, Conklin 167 is where we're going to get the replay of here pretty soon. He went down into turn number 3 and got a bump from behind. It looked like he was going to go around, but he did a great job of holding onto the vehicle as we get the replay going right now.
Yeah, it looks like we have it right here possibly as we're looking at Sean Conklin.
It's Cody Richardson behind him. He gives him a bump going down into turn number 3.
Wow.
Man, he clobbers him going into the corner. Great save
What a
from Sean Conklin to be
save!
able to hold on to that thing. Still wrecking almost, coming out of the corner.
Oh,
Stacks up the field
wow.
behind him, but everybody was doing a really good job holding on to it. As they go 3 wide, going down into turn number 1 with a car on the apron.
Good,
Great job
good
from everybody to hold
call.
on to it.
Good call on trying to find that replay because that was definitely worth seeing. I mean, that was 4 wide right there. I mean, that could have easily turned into a catastrophe of some wadded up race cars, but luckily it didn't. As the battle has continued to intensify here for the lead, lap traffic has entered the fray. You see Jerry Isaacs there going a lap down. As Boyd trying to pass on the top, he's trying to pass on the bottom. Or on, it's pretty much everywhere he could try to get some type of run. He's trying to go, and this looks just like what you see in an actual Bristol race in actual NASCAR. So I gotta say, iRacing really so realistic. I mean, this looks just like when we see those battles between Harvick and Chase Elliott, just a couple years ago. What a race this has been so far. I mean, and just to see the accuracy of Bristol style racing. I love this track. And so glad also we're going to be seeing this track more often next year as well.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're going to get 2 concrete races going forward. I think that's a lot better for the sport. I mean, the Bristol dirt race has been pretty fun to watch. But for whatever reason, you really couldn't pass the leader, I felt like. I remember watching the spring race this year, and it was just a little bit of follow the leader. Everybody else in the mid-pack and on back was stupid fun to watch, but nobody could really make a pass for the race lead. So I think it's probably good to see the concrete monster come back here in the Bristol Coliseum. I think it puts on great shows. Hopefully they can get the attendance that they need for the spring race to keep it going. It is just a little hard to fill up 160,000 person stadium twice a year. So, but hopefully they can do a little bit better than they did in the past.
Well, they used to do it. I mean, they used to could do it, and I think it's a call to action for all of us fans that we need to get out there. I mean, Bristol. I know that's a bucket list race for me. I always wanted to go to a real Bristol race. I heard it's loud because of how the dome shape of the Coliseum is, for sure. But man, I'll tell you, watching it here on the sim, it might not be just as good, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've sat 2/3 of the way up of the stands coming out of turn number 4 a couple years ago in 2019. Whenever we saw that cool finish between Denny Hamlin and Matt DiBenedetto, and I had to wear hearing protection for that entire event. Yeah, I left the racetrack pretty pissed off. But either way, I was not a big Ryan Newman fan until the 500 the next year, anyway. But it was tough to see that in person. But it was also really cool. It's so weird because you can't hear anything other than the cars at that track, right? So you're not able to really interact with any of the fans. You're not able to do anything like that. But you could feel the atmosphere get sucked out of that stadium whenever DiBenedetto got passed towards the end of that event. First whenever he got the damage, and then whenever he got passed. And it's so weird that you can feel it even though you can't hear anybody, you can't communicate, but you could just feel the collective disappointment from everybody. And whenever you get a crazy race that goes your way too, it's the exact opposite. Even though you can't hear anything, right? If it was 2016 and Dale Jr. took the lead, that place, even though you couldn't hear anybody, you would just feel the energy, you would feel the excitement. And it's just such a surreal feeling that I really can't explain well enough with words, that you cannot hear other people, you cannot communicate, and yet you can still just feel the exact same way, and you can just feel the whole atmosphere around you. It's such a cool experience to be able to go to. And I know that it's not technically a crown jewel, but I mean, from the fans' perspective, I feel like it's got to be a top 5 race on the calendar.
Oh no, that's one of my favorite tracks, and that's one I've always wanted to go to. Of course, as we see the battle starting to heat up between Justin Levine and Michael McLean, they're battling for the 3rd place position. Looks like Levine, I think, is starting to struggle a little bit. Last time by, he was about a 10th off of the lap times that McLean is hitting. So I'm wondering if maybe they're going to be needing some adjustments for that race car. I'm curious if the track conditions have changed as well. I mean, maybe the temperature might not have changed a whole lot, but I guarantee you the rubber on the track has changed, and that can significantly alter the racetrack or the race car and how it feels as these guys are getting around this place. Of course, Garrett Maines has managed to hold off Boyd Hogan. They're about a 10th. Separate these two as they continue to gobble up lap traffic, as now I do believe only 16 drivers are on the lead lap. Ronnie Kurtz getting ready to go a lap down here not too long from that.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me to see Justin Levine falling back at this point. He's probably one of the worst drivers in the service. So it's, oh man, I was just joking about Levine,
goodness.
but the 9 of Kurtz goes hard to the outside wall and ruined my little joke that I was about to make. Screw you, Ronnie Kurtz, for that. I was trying to dog on Levine, but unfortunate for Ronnie. He's just trying to hold on to the lead lap and overcorrected. But I'm actually going to sing his praises a little bit because he easily could have just gone to the left and taken out our race leader there as well. but he did a good job of turning it to the right and making sure that he didn't take out our front two drivers there in Garrett Maines and Boyd Hogan. So not a good job for Kuritz, obviously, because he wrecked it, but still better than what could happen. Actually, it wasn't Kuritz, I believe. It was somebody a little bit further back. Kuritz was on the lead lap, a little bit further ahead, but it was actually a car multiple laps down that was going to go another lap down. So our apologies on that. We're going to get the replay of who that was.
Yeah, I do believe that was the 9. Oh, wow. That was David Grantham. Oh, and then a secondary hit. Corin just was like, yeah, you're going into the inside wall, brother. Although, yeah, he definitely could have easily took out Garrett Maines right there. I bet Maines' heart rate probably had to go up into the ceiling with that happening directly beside him, and just incredibly lucky. And also David Grantham kind of saving that race. I mean, him and Boyd, very lucky. Look at that. Look how close he came to hitting Boyd Hogan, and then Corin just finishing him off. So unfortunately, Grantham's going to have probably a pretty good bit of damage after that hit there, as we're on lap 193. I do believe everybody for pretty much is going to be heading down pit road. We're going to see some drivers probably maybe stay out to get some laps back, because we did see quite a few drivers go a lap down.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. The laps have been taken off pretty quick. You know, Corin right there, obviously he doesn't expect the 9 to come off the wall 3 lanes like that. So I would really put no blame there on Corin for the after effects of that. It's just unfortunate that somebody comes off the wall right in front of your line. He was trying to give him plenty of room and still make the corner, but it just wasn't able to work out going down into turn number 3. And ultimately, Grantham in the 9 caused the whole incident from the beginning, getting loose into the outside wall. So not too upsetting that he was the one that got the worst end of that. You know, you hate it whenever somebody else makes a mistake and then collects 3 or 4 other guys and completely kills the races of other people. But it was just the guy that made the mistake. So it's not too bad at the end of the day.
Yeah, hopefully Corin's front end's not too hurt as well, but that could have easily destroyed Garrett Maines' chances here. He has utterly dominated the race thus far. Has led almost every lap. Definitely has just put on quite the show. As we see, of course, most of the drivers have taken a pit stop here. A lot of drivers have gotten their laps back. We're now, I do believe, have over 20 cars back on the lead lap. So that's definitely good. I do believe we have 21 on the lead lap. James Watson, if I'm not mistaken, is the last car on the lead lap at the moment. So definitely a lot of guys getting some more chances, I think, with that caution, as we are very close to 200 laps into this race, and we're not even at the halfway point.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see a couple of guys have rebounded. Roman's up to 9th. Conklin went from 17th to 10th that run. So a couple of these guys, a couple of the Ryko cars that had some misfortune earlier in the event have kind of worked their way back up. Not completely to the front, but to where they can at least kind of be in a fighting chance towards the end. They've still got 300 freaking laps left. So still plenty of time for both those guys to kind of work their way back up into the top 5 and maybe challenge for the race win.
Yeah, I mean, Conklin, I know you wrote him off. Like, I mean, he was like, oh, yeah, he's done. But he's up in the top 10 right now. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's possibly gotten some of that damage repaired.
He ain't winning.
Okay, I mean,
I still think he's out. He's just got the damage, man. I just don't think it's happening. I love Sean Conklin. I think he's great, but just with the damage, it's going to be tough. But the pace car comes off, coming down to pit road, coming to take lap 197. Oh, man, Boyd Hogan went really, really early. Garrett Maines went way late in the restart zone, and Boyd might end up getting a black flag from that. I think that he was ahead of Garrett Maines at the time of the green flag coming out. It'll be interesting to see if he did get the black flag or not. That was really, really tight.
And that's unfortunate. I mean, that if he got a black flag there, that would be 2 mistakes in 2 restarts. So that would be a worst case scenario if he had to serve the penalty under green here. But it looks like I think he might be okay. I think he backed off before they left the restart zone. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. Yep, here he comes. He did get a penalty. That is heartbreaking. Boyd Hogan, of course, who had driven his way, I do believe, from 31st all the way up to 2nd place, now is going to drop way back down the field, and he's going to go 2 laps down or more.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking for Boyd Hogan, and I kind of hate it for us too, because Boyd was really taking the fight to Garrett on that last run. So extremely sad to see Boyd Hogan kind of, oh man, we got a caution coming out further back in the pack. Not quite sure what happened, but that actually saves Boyd Hogan big time. Boyd going through pit road. We're going to see if he goes down a 2nd lap as Garrett Maines is coming around, but Garrett's stuck behind the pace car in the backstretch, so Boyd's only going to go 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's going to be good. He's going to be able to serve this penalty, and just because he at the time of the caution, he was already on pit road. Let's take a look at the replay, see exactly what happened. I think it's Alex Coffey possibly the epicenter of this accident. Oh, yeah, he just got loose out of turn 2, I do believe that is. And unfortunately, he had some secondary contact as well. As we take another look back at this, probably from a different view, we see Corn right there in front of him, but Coffee is the one that I do believe causes this. He just gets loose right in front of Brian Young, a little bit of air in between those two drivers. Luckily, no one else gets caught up in that. I think Young might have had a little bit of some glitching going on there too. I think they reacted like they hit, but I don't think they actually did.
It was just a little weird accident. I mean, we just saw Coffee get a little loose, nothing too crazy. Cody Richardson going around on the outside there, getting his lap back. Boyd Hogan's only going to have 3 guys in front of him that he's going to have to pass to be able to get into the lucky dog position. We're kind of getting into that middle portion of the race where you don't know if that caution is going to come out, though. I know that we've had a couple quick ones here, but we could very well get a big 100-lap green flag run at any moment. So Boyd is definitely just hoping and praying that he can get one more caution and get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, 100%. And surprised that we have this many drivers still alive at this point. I mean, a lot of times when you come into these style of races, especially in the lower splits, you see a lot of drivers, only at the end of it, there's only 4 drivers on the lead lap. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get to that point in this race, just considering how high the talent is, but I could eat my words for sure. But I know Garrett Maines has absolutely dominated this race. Imagine how heartbreaking it would be to have an absolutely dominated race like this, and at the end of it, not come home with the victory. That could very well happen. I know Garrett is definitely not wanting that to happen, but I just don't know what you could do. You're kind of at the mercy of a lot of these drivers out here if you get in an accident. So definitely hoping that Maines is going to be able to take care of some business. I know he's really high in the NIS Open points right now. Chris Wilhite, of course, is the top of the points leaderboard this season so far. Don't see Wilhite out here tonight, so this could be a big night for Garrett Maines to maybe reclaim the points lead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Maines takes it, but the problem is just running the lead at Bristol. I mean, we've seen multiple times in real life. A lot of times the leader gets caught up in a lap car incident. We almost saw it earlier tonight. So if I'm Garrett Maines, I'm not out of the woods yet. Obviously, I mean, we're only 2/5 of the way through this race. Got a long, long way to go. But hopeful to see him do really well, and continue this streak up. I think he's led just about every lap. So, but really impressed with Michael McLean here coming out on his outside, coming up to second place. I know that he's been the beneficiary of a couple of people making mistakes like Boyd Hogan and Nicholas Roman on the restarts, so he's able to jump some of the fast guys that you would expect to be in the top 3. But regardless, he's done a great job keeping his nose clean himself and being able to move all the way up into the second spot. He's passed some really good cars in Justin Levine, the 19 of Kaufman, and the 7 of Paul Bergoli. So interested to see if Michael McLean can keep the good fortune going.
Oh, no, he's definitely looked really great. And we saw that earlier save for him, too. I mean, he has been, kind of up and down, but has really been very patient with the way he's been driving that race car. So I really like what I'm seeing from the 24 of Michael McLean here as we see the pace cars getting ready to take that left turn down pit road, getting ready to go green flag here as we are 200-plus laps into the race. And there it is, green flag flying as Barney, the flag man, waving that flag. Very good start for Garrett Maines. He's going to try to drive away. It looks like we got somebody coming off the pit road right in front of the field, but luckily I think they stayed off the racing surface. Justin Levine, of course, takes the second spot from McLean. Let's see if Levine maybe learned anything. Maybe if he made some adjustments to the race car to be a little bit better on the long run. That's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on for that 8 machine.
Yeah, Levine's done a good job throughout the race, but we did see, like you mentioned, on the long run, he started being kind of dog crap. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that long run again, if he's going to be able to hold on to the tires better than he did before. I was talking about he's one of the worst drivers on the service earlier and all that nonsense. But he's done a good job keeping his nose clean and staying up in the top 5. So interested to see if he can stay with Maines, but I just don't think anybody up front right now can. I think it was really just Boyd Hogan that could kind of challenge him for that race lead. So in terms of what I want to see from a broadcaster's perspective, max excitement, I think we're going to need to see Boyd Hogan get into the lucky dog position and see a caution come out here pretty soon.
And that's definitely possible. I've been watching the battle here. Sean Conklin has worked his way up to 7th place. He's challenged by Austin Fitzgerald. They are side by side coming across the start-finish line. You can tell Fitzgerald's got a lot of pace right now. Can he get this pass completed? It's so difficult to pass on the bottom line. You also see right behind them William Kemp and the 32 machine sitting in 9th. These guys are all getting backed up, I do believe, by Conklin at the moment. You can tell Conklin is definitely not as fast as he was at the start of this race, and is kind of making a little bit of a bottleneck, a little bit of a dangerous situation here.
Yeah, I think he's still really good on the long run after everybody's tires wear out because he's just such a good tire saver compared to most of the field. You know, we saw it at Darlington where he was able to lead so much of that race because he was so good at saving tires. So I think that we saw the same thing here earlier whenever he went from 17th to 10th. I think he just needs that long green flag run, and he just is trying to hold on to as many positions as he possibly can on the short run, trying to keep that thing in front of a couple more cars so that he doesn't have to pass them back towards the end of the run. He is running in the 8th place position though right now, doing a really good job. If he can just keep those tires under him and get a long green flag run, I think that he's got a chance to move up a couple more spots. But I just think the race win is out of the question at this point, unless Maines, Levine, and McLean all get taken out at some point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's definitely going to have to hope that things kind of break his way in order to give him a chance. And like I said, I still hope that something happens for him here. So you can see Boyd Hogan in the shot. He is, I do believe, 1 lap down, trying to work his way through this gaggle of race cars. Still just as fast as always. Unfortunately, he's got a hand tied behind his back, being a lap down. We also see Nicholas Vroman in that same shot as well. So all the drivers we expect to be up at the front of the field are kind of struggling at the moment. Jose Acosta, he's making some big moves right now on the edge of the top 10, battling with Jason Wallet at the moment. Jason Wallet also having a fairly good night. A lot of drivers that we don't usually see up towards the front really doing very well here tonight.
Really impressive from Hogan because he really started in like the net P21 position on the racetrack on the restart. You know, he's probably in about the 10th or 11th row, and he's already worked his way up to what would have been 12th position. 12th running right now is Nicholas Vroman, and he is actually in front of Vroman. So he would be in about P10, passing for P9 at this point. It's really impressive from Boyd to see that kind of crazy pace coming out of him. Just trying to get that lucky dog spot. He's already taken it, actually. So now he's just hoping and praying for that caution to come out that he's not part of it.
Closer to the front, we're seeing a lot more spreading out. Like you can just see that, Levine, of course, right on the back end of Garrett Maines right now, about a point, 10th of a second, kind of separating those two. Then it goes about 3/10 back to Michael McLean. Of course, Nick Kaufman, he's a second and a half back in 4th place. John Wittendorf, he's up in 5th. I'll tell you, this is a driver we haven't talked about a lot. The 11. I've seen him in the NAIS Open quite a bit. Definitely haven't seen him really running top 5 very often, but very good run so far here tonight. But he is starting to get caught by Paul Bergoli. Now, Bergoli has been looking really good here tonight. And in every race we see Paul Bergoli in, he's kind of one of the guys that you always expect to be towards the front, but never really wins the race. I think he's got maybe a race-winning car here tonight. We'll have to see what he's able to do. Another driver, Austin Fitzgerald, has looked really good here. Of course, Nicholas Vroman, we were talking about how he was in 12th. He's already made his way now up to 8th place. So really big runs here for Vroman as he's getting through this gaggle, this hornet's nest of race cars.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, you had mentioned Sean Conklin's just holding these guys up, and I mean, Sean is kind of the catalyst. He's at the very front of this train, just preventing anybody from going anywhere. I mean, we just see a huge stack up of cars behind him. It feels like every car on the racetrack, except for the top 8, are all stuck immediately behind Sean Conklin. I mean, if you just go through the train, it's just 15 cars lined up nose to tail, trying to make something work behind Sean Conklin. Maybe even more than that. I mean, it is ridiculous seeing how many cars are stacked up behind Sean. That damage definitely hurting that race car, but not enough for him to fall back. He's running that outside line, just holding people back. Doing a good job. Like I mentioned earlier, though, he needs that long green flag run so that he can start making pace at some point. But, man, he's just losing so much time to the main lead group. I just don't see him actually making up all that time on them, even on if he can save his tires better than all the guys in front of him.
Yeah, once Vroman got clear of Conklin, he's starting to drive away. He's got about a half a second gap back to Conklin. Of course, Jose Acosta still battling with Jason Wallet right now for that 11th place position. So definitely this is creating, kind of a, I'd say, incendiary atmosphere that all it takes is one little match, one little spark could light up a, cascading effect here. I mean, you got all these cars that are all right here on top of each other. All it takes is one little mistake, and all these cars are involved in it.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm just kind of surprised to see so many stacked up in one spot, but like you mentioned, one little catalyst, and that is Sean Conklin right now, just being stuck in front of this pack, now letting Nicholas Vroman kind of pull away from the group just a little bit, and Vroman's done a great job recovering. We know that if Vroman can get back up towards the front of the field, he can do a really good job and maybe challenge for the race win. I think he's got the same setup under that car as Garrett Maines has in the lead, and we know how fast Nicholas Vroman is everywhere we go. So I think if we get another couple cautions and let Roman kind of pick off another couple guys either on pit road or through some long green flag runs at some point, I think we could see Roman maybe challenging for the lead again. But I do, again, hope that we see a caution at some point so that Boyd Hogan can get that lap back. But the problem is Shane Davis is about to go a lap down to our leader, Garrett Maines. He's only about a second in front of him at this point. And if that happens, then Boyd Hogan is kind of screwed.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. So he's going to have to hope that a caution doesn't come out, after Shane goes a lap down here. That's definitely going to be a big deal here. So he's probably praying that a caution comes out very, very soon. And he's going to have to hope that he can get by Shane and take that lucky dog spot. But we'll have to see. I mean, it's up in the air. It just shows you how easy it is to go a lap down at this track. I mean, and when you get caught up in that, we talk about that, bottleneck situation that has been happening where all those cars are behind each other. It doesn't matter how fast you are, Austin. If you're caught in that traffic like that, there's nothing you can do. That leader is going to end up catching you. Now, that also could be add even more fuel to the fire when, a driver like Maines catches up to that big gaggle of cars. I mean, imagine trying to get through that. That's going to be impossible for Garrett Maines.
It's going to be tough, but he's such a good, fast racer that I think that he's going to be able to cut through them, not easily, but better than a lot of guys. But I do think that he's kind of looking at Shane Davis as an opportunity right here for him. I think he's saying, okay, if I can pass Shane right here, then that sticks Boyd down a lap even longer. I think Maines knows at this point that he's probably only got two real competitors, especially after about 20 laps gets put on the tires, and that would be Boyd Hogan and Nick Roman. So I think that he's thinking, okay, if I can lap Shane Davis right here, put a couple more guys a lap down, I can really take Boyd Hogan out of the event early on. So I think that that's kind of what's going through Garrett Maines' mind right now, just trying to put in good laps, make sure that he can get past the 79 of Shane Davis as soon as possible. But I would like to highlight Michael McLean in second place. He made a good move on Justin Levine not too long ago. Very interested to see McLean have such a good run like this at Bristol. This is a very tough track to get right, and we've seen McLean. He's kind of been, I mean, he's a great driver, right? We've always seen him in top split, doing a good job, crazy aggressive compared to a lot of people, and I think that it's really starting to pay off for him. For whatever reason recently, I know I've talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he said he got some new wheel or a new wheel and pedal set, and it seems that he's really putting that stuff to work because he has found a lot of pace the last couple weeks that I've been watching him, and for him to be running second place on a Friday night NIS Open is major improvement from the driver of the number 24, 16 in sim right there on the custom number. So great job from McLean to just be able to find this pace that I don't really think he always had, right? I mean, like I mentioned, he's kind of been a mid-pack guy, which is not bad in top split. I mean, if you're running 15th to 10th in top split, you're still fast, you're a good driver. But making that jump from 10th to 15th up to 2nd to 5th is a crazy jump in skill. So great job for McLean to just kind of find his footing and make stuff work. And Shane Davis has been passed by our race leader.
We saw Alex Coffey, I do believe, just got incredibly loose in front of McLean. And McLean is looking really good, but I'll tell you one driver that's looking insanely good here on the long run, Nick Kaufman. I mean, this guy is really heating up. He's running some of the fastest laps on the racetrack right now, or he did that last time, I should say, as he goes side by side with Michael McLean. Of course, passing is one thing. Catching someone's one thing. Passing is a completely different thing. But Justin Levine, though, I am starting to see the struggle bus starting to come to that driver. Of course, Paul Bergoli has gotten by John Wittendorf. He's moved up to the 5th place position. Here comes Boyd Hogan. I think he's going to try to unlap himself the hard way because here he comes.
I mean, if he does that would be absolutely incredible. I don't see it happening because he's still got to make up a good bit of time on our race leader, Garrett Maines. He's about 2.5 seconds off of him. But to be fair, he came from further back. I mean, He is completely cut down into that race lead quite a bit. And Maines having to go through lap traffic is going to be very difficult for him. And you got to think Boyd's also looking, okay, well, if I can pass Shane Davis, bam, I'm back in the lucky dog spot. Oh, man, those P2 battles heating up right in front of Boyd. Just getting a little tight. Now the 3 wide coming off the corner. Boyd just getting to the outside of our 3rd place runner of Nick Kaufman. Does a good job to get through there. But that's kind of what Boyd Hogan needs to see. He's getting past a couple of these cars up towards the front of the field and able to kind of give himself some clean air to try to go catch Shane Davis. But as soon as I say that, Boyd gets in the wall and loses just a little bit more time, and he's going to get passed back from Nick Kaufman going down into the corner. But it looks like Boyd's able to hold on to that outside, going to be able to wrap the top and get that position back. Obviously not for position on the racetrack, but every little bit of time that Boyd Hogan makes up and passes in terms of cars that gets lapped, it's something better that can happen to him. He's only got one car in front of him that is 1 lap down at that point. That's 2 cars in front of him. Shane Davis, that bright blue car on your screen that you see at the top, where we're out and on board with Justin Levine. But if Boyd can get past Shane Davis and then a caution come out, before Garrett Maines can get past James Watson or Greg Washinsky, then he can be back on the lead lap. So that's got to be what Boyd is thinking right now. I got to get past Shane Davis as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it's well within his means to do so. I mean, considering he is right behind him at the moment. Now he goes side by side with Michael McLean. Of course, McLean trying to get by the 79 cosmetically of Shane Davis, as well as you see Kaufman. Kaufman, I think it might have McLean's number. 3 wide as Davis is in the middle. Ooh, almost some bumper cars going on. I'm telling you, the sparks are flying out here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We have crossed the halfway point as well. What a race here tonight. I'm telling you, I'm having a ball. I don't know about the drivers on the racetrack if they're having a ball, but I'm glad to be here.
That was some crazy aggressive racing there from Boyd Hogan, but it's something that he had to get done. Unfortunately, the guy that kind of got the negative end of that coming out of it was Michael McLean. He had to lose that second place position to no fault of his own. He just kind of got stuck behind 2 lap cars that, he's stuck on the bottom, and all of a sudden Boyd Hogan just throws it in the outside like a madman. Kind of chops off the run that McLean could have gotten out of that corner, makes him give up the position. But, we're only halfway through the race, so I think McLean can easily get that back at some point tonight. I thought that maybe Vroman could get up here and challenge some of these guys at some point, but he really hasn't made up too much ground ever since that he's broken free from Sean Conklin and that big gaggle of race cars we were talking about earlier. So I think Vroman might have a little bit less pace than I originally thought. So I think that this is kind of, if Boyd Hogan can't get back on the lead lap, I think this is a battle of like who can get P2 between Nick Kaufman, McLean, and Justin Levine. But as soon as I say that, Paul Bergoli kind of reared his head into the battle.
No, Bergoli's looking really quick. I mean, he's going side by side with Justin Levine right now. We're seeing a lot of tire wear. These guys have fallen off over a second now, Austin. So I assume we're probably might even see green flag stops here maybe in the next 40 or so laps, just based on tires. Now, gas-wise, these guys can make it a really long distance on fuel, but that's not going to matter. I mean, I've heard drivers all week long talk about that their spotters keep warning them that their tires are 50% or lower, even 25%. And so I would not be surprised that we could even see someone blow a tire here if we continue to go long run like this. I mean, the tires are getting very much destroyed at the moment. So a lot of drivers are going to start to really, really struggle here very soon.
Yeah, I was kind of not necessarily talking down on Vroman, but I thought that he wasn't really making up too much ground. But as soon as I started talking about it, he's cut off a lot of time on the race leader. They were both in clean air there the last couple laps. And that time around, Nick Vroman ran 0.2 of a second faster than our race leader, Garrett Maines, and he's done that 3 laps in a row, if not a little bit more. So Vroman's definitely actually found some late run pace, and he is actually on the back of the battle for 3rd place now. I mean, he is all up on McLean, Levine, Bergoli, and Weitendorf for that 4th place position, or 3rd place position, actually. So it's going to be interesting to see if Vroman can get through these guys, kind of put himself into a better, oh man, Weitendorf almost comes down into Levine coming off the corner. Was able to keep it off of him just barely, but Vroman now sticking it up the inside, trying to make it 3 wide in the middle, not quite able to do it. It looks like he's going to just try to follow Weitendorf past on the outside of Justin Levine coming out of turn number 2. He's going to be able to pull even with Levine coming off the corner, probably going to get the job done going down coming out of turn number 4.
And we're seeing a lot of lap traffic as well, and kind of affecting these drivers as we see. Paul Bergoli, of course, has jumped up into the 3rd spot as he is going to be following, I do believe, behind the 13th. We see Michael McLean trying to hold off Wittendorf, but here comes Vroman. You mentioned it. He's using the top side. Vroman has been, I think, saving his tires, and he's been always very good at that. So I would not be surprised that he's dealing with a little bit more resources than the rest of these guys here as we're on lap 266 of 500. We're well into this race, and it has definitely continued to heat up. I guarantee you all these drivers are starting to get physically and mentally exhausted, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, Vroman worked his way up to the P5 position. They're just in a little bit of a lap traffic sandwich at this point, so it's just a little hard for him to make any moves right now. Just trying to get past the lap cars and get himself some clean air to be able to make a move. But McLean gets a little bit of loose coming out of turn number 4. Vroman sticks it down to the bottom 3 wide. They're going to go through turn number 1 and 2 2 wide though, and Vroman does have that run on the bottom side. Crazy to see him get that good of a run on the bottom side this late in the event. This late in a run of tires, that is, anyway. And he's just about clear of McLean coming off the corner. And it looks like McLean actually lifted just to give Vroman the room, just in case. I know that McLean is on a Ryko setup himself, doing a really good job. And just kind of stays out of the way of the faster teammate at this point of the race. So good to see McLean just kind of being smart, good head on his shoulders at that point, not forcing the issue. But man, Levine tried to make a move at the bottom, got a little bit loose, and that's going to allow Sean Conklin to get through for 6th place.
And also Sean Conklin, we were talking about him kind of holding up a lot of the field a little bit earlier, but on the longer run, you talked about that he was going to be very fast on the longer run. We're seeing exactly that right now And that damage could even be aiding him on the long run, because you can see lap time wise, he's been a little bit quicker than the rest of the drivers. He's easily going to get by Michael McLean, moves up into the top 5. Another driver that is really showing a lot of pace right now. Of course, he doesn't have a whole lot of people to contend with. Dalton Collins, he's up to 9th place right now. I haven't talked a whole lot about that 6th machine. He's about 10 seconds back from the lead, of course. But we're seeing a lot of lap traffic. Caution flag is out, and I think that is, I'm not sure exactly what happened on the racetrack, but we do have a caution flag. I think it might be Alex Coffey that is bringing that caution, and that is not the first time we've seen that name and involved with a yellow flag, so we'll see exactly what happened here. And I know last time he just got loose in the center of the corner. Looks like he got loose on the exit this time. Another overcorrection. I'm surprised that brought a caution now, considering he was down off the racing surface. Let's see if maybe something happens that something else happens. No, the caution flag did come out as a result of that.
That's probably as good of time as any to go to commercial break. We don't have too much to talk about that caution, so we'll catch you back on the other side.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, the green flag is back out here in the NIS top split race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're on laps 279, and Garrett Maines, of course, took the green and is pretty much driven away. Nick Kaufman, of course, in second place. Broman has gotten up to now third place. What a recovery for the 2 machine. As, of course, we have, I do believe, Garrett Maines, as I mentioned, dominating thus far. We'll have to see how this kind of all plays out. My name's Brian Britt. I have Austin Estrom as my co-commentator. Austin, man, that was kind of an exciting restart.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, a little bit of contact further in the back. Garrett Maines jumping out to that lead again, though. Kind of expect that on the early run. But now that Nicholas Roman is towards the front of the field, instead of having to restart about the 10th place spot, I do expect him to fall off of Maines again just a little bit at the beginning, because it seems that he's really dedicated to saving tires and hoping for a long run. And honestly, I think that's his best bet to pass Maines. I think it's really hard with the dirty air to be able to pass on really even tires like it is in the short run. So for Roman, I think he's really just banking on the long run at some point so that he can use that crazy long run pace that we saw from him. Whenever he was in clean air, he was faster than the leader for the last 20, 30 laps of that run. So I expect to see more of the same if we can get another run like that. But also to point out, Boyd Hogan did get back on the lead lap that last run. I want to say he took the wave, though, because I think James Watson was actually the lucky dog. So I think Boyd Hogan is begging and praying for another caution so that he can put on some tires.
Yeah, that's a good point. Boyd Hogan, though, is on the lead lap, so never can count him out. He is back into the conversation again as we see Justin Levine battling with Sean Conklin. Also, Dalton Collins trying to hold off Matthew Cox, who was not even on the same lap as him. But definitely a lot of changes here in the field. Wittendorf, who was up in the top 5 or on the edge of the top 5, is now back in 9th. So we're seeing a lot of shakeups in the running order at the moment.
Yeah, it's just cool to see a couple new players. Like I mentioned, Broman, I mean, it's taken him 287 laps, but he's completely recovered from his mistake from earlier. Only one position back from where he started. You know, he's just running P3 right here. So it'll be interesting to see if Roman can kind of make something happen now that he's got the leader in his sights again. But, man, just almost a little bit of contact behind him for 4th place. McLean was just about in the back bumper of Paul Bergoli coming off of turn number 4. Does a good job keeping it off of him. Tries to get to his bottom coming off the corner. Didn't quite able, or was not quite able to make the move stick. But we saw McLean was really, really quick towards the beginning of the last run, so I wouldn't be surprised if he could pick up a couple spots on the 7 and also probably the 19 of Kaufman. I think Roman might just be a little bit too fast for him at this stage, but I do think that he could maybe fight for a P3 spot at this point.
No, I think Kaufman has been kind of the, I'd say he's David versus Goliath here tonight. The way he's been running the race here, he's been very rational, been very fast on the short run and the long run, so I do suspect that he's probably going to be able to possibly get a podium if he survives this race. But the battle that's pretty much been going on has been Paul Bergoli versus Michael McLean. They're also catching up to Vroman right now. So I even think Paul Bergoli's got speed to possibly even get a podium here as we see Joshua Watson, who has not had the race that he needed here tonight. Of course, we usually expect Joshua Watson to be up in the top 10 or even top 5. Has not had that sort of night here tonight in that 5 machine, as he's going to, I do believe, fall back even further. He has just been struggling. I'm not sure if he's had damage earlier in this race. I think he did actually have some contact with Brian Young earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Brian Young, whenever he was 13 laps down, spun out of the corner, and James Watson just had nowhere to go. So not really any fault of Watson anyway. Sorry, I'm stuttering all over my words right here, but I don't think that Josh Watson really did anything wrong.
You can't make that mistake because James Watson's in here too.
Yeah, there's a couple Watsons in here, but unfortunately for Boyd Hogan, he just goes lap down there. That's because he took the wave around. He's just on really old tires, but he's the first car lap down. But the problem with that is he's got James Watson that he's fighting for it right now. I think they both actually just went a lap down. So Boyd's got to get past James at some point if he wants a chance to get back into this race. But it's just going to be tough to do it now that they're just in a big swarm of cars. It's going to be tough to kind of make a crazy 3-wide move like we saw him doing earlier whenever he was on even tires with everybody. So at this point, he doesn't need a caution. But, man, James gets into the fence right in front of him. Boyd has to check up just a little bit. He needs just a little bit of clean air to be able to try to make a move happen. As they both get cleared by Levine, it's actually going to give him that opportunity going down into turn 3. This is the lucky dog position battle right here. Boyd Hogan able to take it away from James Watson. And he's probably going to hold on to it for a while as long as he doesn't lose that position again. Because there are, there's 10 seconds that Garrett Maines has to make up on the 32 of Kemp to be able to put another car lap down. So Boyd Hogan just really hoping a caution comes out in probably the next 30 or so laps. And that'd probably put him right back in the thick of this thing.
No, 100%, and just unfortunate. I mean, we have now 12 or 11 cars that are on the lead lap here, and so yeah. There's the yellow flag. And I'm not sure exactly what brought this yellow out. Possibly Kenny Powell.
Oh, James Watson's turned around backwards.
Oh, maybe James Watson had. I mean, he was struggling there whenever he was battling with Boyd Hogan. So I'm wondering if maybe. That has something to do with it, or we do see Kenny Powell and Dalton Collins right here, and Jose Acosta. Oh, you see Jose got underneath Dalton. Oh, and Joshua Watson's day just goes from bad to worse. As that is a multifaceted, layered wreck right there. If that was a burrito, it would be a 5-cheese dip, or 5-cheese burrito there.
Okay. That was interesting. That was anyway, I'm gonna talk about the wreck a little bit, but that was pretty funny. I think that Collins just just kind of reacted to Jose Acosta sticking his nose in last minute, making it 3 wide. You can kind of see Jose get to the bottom here after Collins washed up the racetrack, and he just reacted. He saw Jose come through, and he reacted trying to go to the outside, but maybe it reacted just a little bit heavy. Got into the left rear quarter panel of Kenny Powell, and that caused that huge stack up.
I'm so glad you're laughing at foods. I mean, I just thought that was kind of a multi-layered accident right there.
I mean, I get what you. I don't know why, but it was just funny to me whenever you said it. I was like, what the heck is this man talking about? But anyway, it looks like Matthew Cox had a problem a little bit earlier. I didn't think that he was in the battle for that lucky dog position at any point, but I actually think that he came through on new tires. He was the first car 1 lap down before Boyd went a lap down, and Matthew actually came through past James Watson and Boyd Hogan right before that caution came out. So actually, Matthew Cox is going to be the one that gets the lucky dog, not Boyd Hogan.
And I do want to correct as well. I think you said that James Watson was turned around the other way. That was actually Joshua Watson who was involved in that crash. And, he had hit, man, he just is having a bad night. I think Joshua Watson's probably going to be going to bed and restarting today, hoping this thing never happened here tonight. I mean, what a bad day for him. And it's going to be a bad day for points-wise, too, because I know Joshua has been really strong all season long here in the NAIS Open.
Too many Watsons. There's only 2 of them, and it's just enough for me to completely throw it away. But they both start with a J, so I'll at least throw that out there, give myself a little bit of a break. I make a lot of jokes about our producer being C-tier. I think we've got a C-tier commentator in the booth here today, too, unfortunately. But,
it's good thing I'm here to make up for it, right?
I mean, maybe 2 C-tier commentators. So
okay.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Throw our names up there so everybody knows the C-tiers. That's great.
Right.
Thanks, Darby. I really appreciate that. Great job.
Yeah, well, as the race goes on, we'll have even a little bit of a grading system that we'll be able to see what our grades are. We'll have to make that an audience thing where the audience can kind of even how are we doing? Like what was it how you see on the back of trucks? Semi trucks on the road. How are we driving?
Oh my God, how are we commentating? Is our producer any good, or does he suck at?
Oh man, Sean Conklin though, out in the lead right now. This is kind of interesting to see. Of course, we have a lot of guys that have, I think, mixed up the strategy when it comes to pit road here.
Yeah, I think that they've had enough green flag runs where they're able to kind of split whether they want to come down pit road, and this is where we could really start seeing the pit stop strategy come into play, because even 10 to 15 laps on tires can make a huge difference.
And there is the green flag. Sorry to cut you off there, Austin. The green flag was getting ready to fly, but Conklin up through the gears here. Now, this is the first time we've seen Garrett Maines really in traffic, or should I say lead lap traffic, as he's trying to go past Kaufman. He's going to successfully do it. And I'm wondering if maybe Maines made a mistake on pit road that caused him to lose a little bit of those positions, but I think he's going to probably be trying his best to work his way back up to the lead. Side by side, though, Conklin and McLean for the top spot.
Super impressive for Michael McLean to be able to throw it to the inside of Sean Conklin here. I know Sean Conklin stayed out on tires, but still crazy impressive to see McLean be able to race for the race lead with only 200 laps to go here at Bristol. Trying to make the bottom side work against Conklin, but it's just going to be so tough to do it. Garrett Maines gets hard on his right rear quarter panel coming out of the corner, not giving McLean a lot of room coming out of turn number 4, but they're still side by side for the lead, but Garrett Maines is going to give the bumper to Sean Conklin going down the backstretch. A lot of bumping and banging between the top 3. Garrett Maines throws it 3 wide in the middle, trying to squeeze that nose in between the 2 Ryko cars. Also a Ryko car himself. We got a 3 wide Ryko sandwich for the race lead as Garrett Maines is going to make it work in the middle and come back out with the race lead.
Wow, what an awesome display of driving skill from all 3 of those drivers. To be able to hold it 3 wide like that, you see McLean getting a little bit loose off of 4, very close to Conklin. They're having a little bit of contact here. That's going to bring Kaufman into the battle for the podium.
Van Kaufman sticks it hard to the bottom of Michael McLean. I think McLean washed up the racetrack just to kind of avoid contact there. It looked like Kaufman may have thrown it in just a little hard, but we're going to look at a replay here just of that. Or I thought it was going to be the crazy move, but it's going to be Alex Coffey again going down into turn number 1, wrapping the bottom. Just gets crazy loose coming off the corner once again, and you can see the sparks coming out of that machine. Kind of weird that that one doesn't bring the caution out, and the one earlier where he stopped on the apron did. I don't really know where the consistency is with that, but I'm not necessarily upset that the caution didn't come out. I know a couple people probably are.
I'm glad it didn't come out because I mean, I don't think that caution or that caution that came out before should have really warranted that yellow flag. But Garrett Maines back up into the lead. Of course, Sean Conklin sits in second place. Michael McLean in third. Nick Kaufman sits fourth. Of course, fifth place, John Wittendorf back up in the top five. Of course, he's got William Kemp in sixth place. What a good job from the 32. I do believe he's probably one of the lower iRating cars in this series. Now, of course, even though he's a 32, and we might say, okay, he's lower iRating, he's got a way higher iRating than I do. I'll tell you that, considering I would not even be able to qualify for this series.
I'm surprised you're even qualified to be in the broadcast booth for a top split NIS with your Mr. 1800 iRating self.
Oh, now you called me out?
I had to out it. You mentioned it, so I was going to out it. I had a green flag. You gave it to me. You waved the green flag. That's probably what your rating should be. You'd probably be a pretty good flag waveman.
And we're looking at, I do believe we have the iRating actually on our screens here, if I'm not mistaken. We see, of course, Garrett Maines, world-class, almost 10,000 iRating. And looking at William Kemp, 3.7. So a 3,700 iRating. Not too bad. Definitely higher than mine. That's double mine. Please don't.
Can we get a little quick edit and throw up Brian Britt's iRating? I think that would be very telling to all the viewers. You know, we got a C-tier a C-tier producer in Darby. We've got a C-tier commentator in me, and we've got an F-tier iRacer in Brian Britt.
That's why I'm a good commentator. I don't need to be on the racetrack. But we're putting some pressure here on McLean. They're getting incredibly close to one another. I think McLean might be starting to struggle here. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm going to take you heard me, Austin. I'm taking the pressure off of myself and talking about the race.
My goodness.
I'm telling you.
At some point, look, it's a 500-lap race. At some point, we're going to step away and stop talking about the racing for just a little bit and just joke on each other, because sometimes you just go a little insane sitting up here watching cars go around in circles for the entire time. But even me saying that, it's been a crazy entertaining race. I mean, the top four all nose to tail coming through turns 3 and 4. Nothing between them. I really thought Conklin was going to struggle more. I guess he did pit and just jumped everybody. I don't quite know what happened, because if he was still on old tires, I don't think he'd be able to stick up here with the damage. Also, we saw him struggling on the short runs earlier. Crazy impressive to see Sean Conklin still on the back bumper of Garrett Maines lap after lap. I mean, it's just super impressive to see multiple laps after the restart.
No, 100%. I mean, and you were the doubter. You were the one that was saying, oh, you know, Conklin's out of this thing. But I don't think he is. I think he still has a chance to go possibly 3 for 3 here. I mean, he won at Darlington. He won at Kansas. That's 2 in a row. Can he maybe go 3 in a row? It is still alive and possible, considering I do believe he qualified in second place. He's now back up to second place. The driver I think that's kind of surprising that is not up here in this battle is Vroman. But one thing about it, I'm looking at, I think Nicholas Vroman, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Vroman he's been really very good at taking care of his tires. And I think that's exactly what he's doing right now, and that's why he's not up in this top 5 or podium.
Yeah, Vroman has easily been the best tire saver over the course of the night, and he's still in a way higher position than he was earlier. You know, he did get stuck behind the Sean Conklin train about 7-8 seconds behind the race leader at one point, and then was able to cut that gap quite heavily and pass a lot of cars. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a long green flag run here. If we can get like 100 laps of green flag run going, I really think Vroman could almost find himself back into the race lead. You know, Garrett Maines has to run so hard to be able to keep the lead. It just naturally burns up your tires a little bit more. With Vroman running back in 7th place, he's really just biding his time. And look at all that green space in front of him. I don't know if I say green space, but just open track in front of him, just to where he can save his tires. He can run his own pace. Doesn't have really any pressure from behind right now, so he can just run his own pace, save the tires. Garrett Maines doesn't really have that luxury, because he's got Sean Conklin, he's got Michael McLean, both on really fast Ryko setups right behind him. So he's just got to run somewhat hard. Vroman can kind of pace himself, just save his tires a little bit, and then make a hard charge towards the end if we can get that long green flag run.
You know what? I just came to my mind. This is going to probably be a way out of left field. But Michael McLean, isn't that a guy from Die Hard? I don't know. I just took us off on a tangent there. But I was just thinking, isn't that? I know McLean, definitely for sure. But I don't know why I just went there. This is a long race, ladies and gentlemen, on lap 330 at the moment. And Dalton Collins, I do believe, just went a lap down. I'm wondering what happened to the 95 all of a sudden. Of course, he was involved, I think. John McClain. Yes, okay. I was Michael McClain. I don't know why. That just do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. My brain just all of a sudden went in that direction, and I had to tug on the yarn to unravel it.
Yeah,
But of
Collins
course,
was in that big accident earlier, so it's not too surprising to see him drop back. I think he got a lot of damage there.
I think you're correct, because I think that when we saw, of course, I didn't think he got as much as it seems like his car is displaying right now. Of course, we see Boyd Hogan. We were kind of looking at him just for a second there. He's back in 17th, one lap down. Not the lucky dog. The lucky dog at the moment is Greg Wyszynski, who is in 15th place. Of course, Matthew Cox is the last car on the lead lap right now. He's about 11 seconds back from Garrett Main, so he will be going a lap down very, very shortly. So this has been a race of attrition here tonight. That has been pretty much a fact, as we see Michael McClain trying to go side by side with Conklin for second place.
It's just so hard to pass on that bottom, though. Conklin runs such a good line coming off the top of the corner. He uses so much of the racetrack, being able to get a good run down the straightaways every single time he comes off the corner. It's just making it really impossible for McClain to actually complete the move. And they're just starting to fall off of our race leader, Garrett Main's, lap after lap. I think Conklin really worked those tires a lot to be able to keep up with them. I do still think that damage hurts him on the short run, to where he's just not able to get everything out of that race car, and maybe wears out those tires a little bit more whenever he's having to race it as hard as he did to try to get past Mains. So I just think that we're seeing Conklin kind of have those struggles come. But man, Michael McClain really throws it to his inside, going down into turn one, almost gives him the bumper. Conklin gives him the room last second, going down into the corner. And McClain's going to try to use the 37 car as a pick right here. It'll be interesting to see if Conklin can get to his inside to make it 3 wide instead. But McClain's going to be able to wrap the bottom here through 1 and 2. They're going to be 3 wide for a moment through the middle of the corner. McClain washes up just a little bit, has to get out of the gas, and that's going to open the door for the 19 to Kaufman to get down to his inside, going down into turn number 3.
Been a scary situation here. McClain, I think, been showing a lot of patience here tonight. Got to give him a lot of credit there. He could have easily pushed the issue, but here comes Kaufman. Going to see if he can't possibly work his way up to the podium. Of course, Kaufman just a little bit ago was up in second place, so would not be surprised to see that driver be able to get a podium finish. But looking at the lap times here, you can see these guys racing side by side is slowing them down quite significantly. Garrett Main's last time by 15.186 versus Conklin's 15.406. So very much off the pace compared to our leader. And of course, Vroman has been turning some absolutely killer laps last few times, 15.1.
Not too surprising, starting to get to that tire changeover point where Mains had to kill his stuff just a little bit to keep that race lead on the short run. And like I mentioned, Vroman was just using that clean racetrack to save those tires. So it's just kind of getting to that point of the run where those kind of, I don't know, Vroman saving his tires is just going to kind of come in handy. He did lose a tenth to the leader there, so we're maybe not quite to that point just yet that we need to see Vroman kind of come to life. But I do think that we're going to get to that point here pretty soon. But man, the 19 makes a really good move. That's Kaufman to the outside of Michael McClain for the P3 position. Just trying to get to the outside of Sean Conklin, also coming through 1 and 2. No, man!
Oh, there they go.
Coming off the corner. Kaufman gets loose, coming out of turn number 2, and collects Michael McClain and Brian D, or not Brian D's, the 17. That's somebody from a league. Brian Young comes through and collects some. Man, the 17 car and Brian's. I call a lot of those in a couple of different leagues, so made that little mistake. But Kaufman it looked like he was going to get that move made easy peasy, but he just got loose coming off the corner and comes down and collects Michael McClain after McClain has had such a good run.
That is unfortunate right there. You see right there, the 19 gets loose just coming off of turn number 2, gets down into Michael McClain. Luckily, John Wittendorf, very good heads up driving there for him. He jumps right down to the bottom and gets by both of these drivers. And we see Brian Young comes up and just hits the back of the 19 right here. He tried everything he could to get out of the way or to not, hit the back of the 19, but that's just unfortunate. Both of those drivers up in the top 5 when this happened. And we'll have to see how that damage is going to affect those drivers for sure. That is going to bring the caution flag out on lap 345. As we take a look on board, I do believe with Brian Young in the 17. As he comes up and just, well, I think he could have probably missed that. Looking at it, I mean, I thought maybe visibility-wise he didn't see it until the last second. But he saw that for a little bit of time. I think he could have did a better job of avoiding that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think he could have done a little bit better job. But, I feel for McClain there. But luckily, there's not too many cars on the lead lap, only 13 cars. And I don't think he got any damage from that, right? He just got a little bit of door contact there. Just grazed the wall with the front end, not too heavy. And then coming through right here, the 19 does get into his right rear pretty hard after he gets hit. But ultimately, I don't think that's that massive. Maybe just a little bit of right rear damage from the for Michael McLean. But wow, watching the race out of pit road, Sean Conklin takes the lead off of Garrett Maines right there, coming off the corner, or coming out of pit road. So Sean Conklin's going to be in the race lead.
That could be big. But then again, I mean, a lot of that accident came as a result of those guys being held up behind Conklin. So I don't know necessarily if Conklin's going to be able to hold on to this lead. I mean, I think Garrett has the better race car at the moment. As we take a look at the race off of pit road here, you see, of course, Maines lifting up that left side to put tires on there, and Conklin just getting off so fast. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's the right call. I think he probably should have maybe got a little bit more damage repaired if he had any. Like I said, I just don't think Conklin's got the car on the short run, like you were kind of alluding to a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a lot of left front damage. I don't know if he did fix it all, and that's just what he's got left that you just can't deal with. I'm not quite sure. I know that he had pretty heavy contact earlier. So I don't really know if he could even fix any more, but at this point, I think his bed's made, right? You've got less than an A open worth of laps left. So I don't think that you can... I mean, I don't know, but there only being now 16 cars on the lead lap after the caution. There was only 13 there, so he definitely could have fallen back to 13th and just gotten all the damage fixed if he hadn't already. But, I mean, he's in the race lead at this point, right? He's been running top 3. And while he doesn't have the pace of Garrett Maines, you got to think, in his mind, he's thinking, all right, I'm running top 5. At this point, I'm just going to hold on to my track position.
I'll tell you who's been desperate. Boyd Hogan. I mean, he's got 46 laps on his tires. He's just been struggling to get back on the lead lap. Same thing with Kenny Powell. They're sitting 14th and 15th as well. Of course, we have the pace car lights out. Sean Conklin, let's see what he could do on this start. Still anybody's race here is, of course, like you said, we have about an A open length, a little less than the A open length to go here as the green flag is back out in the air. Conklin up through the gears. Very good start there for him. Looks like I think Maines just did not get going like I think he needed to. But Nicholas Roman takes over third. I do believe just got by Wittendorf.
This will be interesting. We've seen Garrett Maines be able to hold people off all night. Can we see Sean Conklin do the same thing to him? Obviously, Sean's got that left front. Oh, man, they're spinning in the back. On the front straightaway, Jason Wallet goes around, coming out of turn number 4. Oh, he gets clobbered by the 23. I believe that's Ronnie Kuritz coming in and hitting him super late after the caution had already come out.
Yeah, that was a big wreck there. There's going to be a lot of damage from that hit. Wow.
That's the caution Boyd Hogan finally needed too, by the way. He's able to come down and get 4 fresh tires and stay on the lead lap. Finally, Boyd Hogan gets back on the lead lap, so maybe we could see another competitor up towards the front. But that was kind of weird. Like, it looked like Wallet was going to track off the corner, and then he kind of came down a little bit. I just don't think that McLean expected him to kind of come down into the bottom lane, almost coming off the corner. Kind of just 2 race cars going for the same bit of real estate. I know that typically you're like, okay, well, the car behind needs to not hit the car in front, but whenever the car in front is maybe being not erratic, I don't think there was anything erratic there from Wallet, but he just kind of came down the racetrack as they were coming out of the corner. You really can't come down the racetrack at any oval coming out of a corner. That's just not the way to do it. Oh, man, that's super unfortunate from Kuritz. Probably if we had the onboard, we'd probably see that he just had absolutely no view of where that stopped race car was. He made that contact with the car in front of him and then turned hard left, and bam, there's a car sitting sideways in the middle of the racetrack.
I don't know, I didn't like slow down very much there.
Oh, no, he definitely should have slowed down more, but I do think that he was maybe a little vision blocked here. We're going to check on board, coming through turns 3 and 4 of Kuritz, just to get a little bit better view of what happened from his perspective. But I do think that we're going to see his vision was blocked at one point. He sees the car sideways up in front. He should have gotten on the brakes earlier. I'll give you that 100%. But he definitely couldn't see the 76 sitting sideways, turned hard left, and just completely T-boned him. Thankful that's not real life, because that would have hurt like hell.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And like you said, this is going to be probably a godsend for drivers like Kenny Powell and Boyd. Boyd is going to get that those sets of tires on that race car. He's going to get back at it. And we just know the speed he's got in that race car, he's going to come up to the front. I think we're really on this restart, and for the laps after that, we're going to be watching Boyd Hogan drive his way through the field. I mean, he's the only one we think that has anything really for Garrett Maines. Now, of course, we did see Conklin take the lead. We'll have to see how that kind of all plays out. There's still a lot of storylines going on here in the NIS race.
I gotta say, I really love how you say Kenny Powell's name. The country accent really comes heavily into that last name. You go, Kenny Powell! And it just sounds like you're saying Powell. Like we're watching I don't know, we're reading a 1980s comic book and we're watching some superheroes. Pow! Somebody, just, Kenny Powell!
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, no, I've actually know Kenny Powell fairly well. I've had a lot of practice saying his name, but definitely very good driver. A lot of people, say that he's very aggressive, but
Keep
he's in a good position right now. I mean, he's on the lead lap, got a fresh set of tires. I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself to be on the lead lap, 354 laps into this race.
Yeah, great job from Kenny Powell.
That's funny.
I'm gonna say it like that for the rest of my life.
It makes me think of Kenny Powers from the Eastbound and Down show.
I hope that you pronounce your ERS better than you pronounce your ELL.
That flew right over my head. I don't.
Powers instead of Powell. Just ERS. So, I wouldn't expect your country ass to know.
Well, here we go though. Pace car lights are out, and we're getting ready to go back green here. Of course, Sean Conklin has control of the field. Pace car has dipped down, and there is the green flag once again. Conklin with another really good restart, and it looks like Broman is going to go side by side, possibly with Maines, but no, Broman out of the gas did not get the run out of turn 2.
Yeah, it's going to open up that door to Whitendorf on the outside, trying to take that position away from Nicholas Roman SP3. Man, we just got a big swarm of race cars coming down the front stretch. Absolutely no room between anybody from third on back, but man, Whitendorf trying to make that outside line work. Just not really working out too well for him at this point. It looks like Roman might be able to get a good run off of 4, just be able to eke that nose. Oh man! Is that the 51 going crazy sideways down the front stretch? He goes completely sideways, spins around in front of the field, somehow does not get anybody else collected. Great job from the field getting by, not making that a bigger accident than it should have been, honestly.
Yeah, of course, that was, like you said, cosmetically the 51 of Jordan Corrin, who was very fast earlier in this show. Let's take a look. Looks like it might have had something to do with him and Jose Acosta. And it looks like, oh, wow, look at this. How did these guys miss this? I mean, this was right in almost the dead center of the racetrack. And he didn't get too much damage out of that. We're going to take this time a very good opportunity to take another commercial break and pay some attention to our sponsors. We'll be right back with some more racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway with GridVision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision. As of course we see the pace car dipping down pit road on lap 363. Green flag is back out in the air. Sean Conklin up to the gears. Of course, we've had a string of cautions here recently, and we'll have to see if that's going to be cautions, precaution sorts of situation. Of course, Garrett Maines gets clear of Roman. Roman is just not firing off on these restarts, Austin.
Yeah, he's having a tough time on the short run we've seen. If he can just get past Whitendorf and get up on the top lane, as he does right there, good job for Roman to finally get up to the top lane. I think he's going to be able to not really set sights on the leaders, because I think that he's really playing that long run game anyway. So I think he's just going to kind of stay back from him just a little bit, just not really force the issue. And I think he knows that Garrett Maines is going to have a tough time getting past Sean Conklin. They're going to be running their tires off pretty hard. Conklin's going to be running that high lane, just trying to make sure Garrett can't get by him. I'd be surprised if Conklin really goes down to the bottom from here on out with Garrett Maines right on his bumper, but we've seen just how hard it is to pass the leader on the bottom of the racetrack whenever everybody's on equal tires. So it's going to be tough for Maines to get by him, but Conklin does have that left front damage. That has been hampering him all race, and actually now that Maines couldn't get by Conklin there the last time by, Roman was able to get just a little bit of a run to their back bumper, and it's just kind of stacking up the top three a little bit and allowing Roman to stay with our two leaders.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's kind of backing up these guys to Paul Bergoli as well. Bergoli has had a really good race here as well. I'm seeing some battling back here in 8th place. Michael McLean trying to work something on Boyd Hogan as well. So we're seeing some battling kind of all throughout this track right now. We see William Kemp. He's been really good on the short runs, but he has not been so good on the long runs. Almost 3 wide right here for 7, or 6, I should say.
Yeah, Boyd's trying to get through the field as soon as he can. I mean, we saw just how quick he was earlier whenever he tore through the field from the back of the pack and was able to start challenging our race leader, Garrett Maines. Got an unfortunate passing the leader penalty on one of the restarts, but he is completely rebounded. He is now fighting for that 6th place position, trying to get the outside of the 11 of Whitendorf, coming out of turn number 4. Gonna actually make that happen. Gonna be able to wrap the outside really well through 1 and 2 and completely clear Whitendorf down the backstretch.
What a run from Boyd Hogan. He got into the rear of the 11, I think, just to show that he meant business. Like, hey, man, I'm getting by you, whether you like it or not. And he drove right by him. A lot of times when you make passes around this track, it's a work in progress. You're not going to get that pass done in one corner. But a man like Boyd Hogan, he's going to be able to get something like that done, as he's up to 6 now, chasing down Justin Levine. Also, Michael McLean has gotten by John Wittendorf as well. As it looks like we're having a battle, very big battle for the lead, as McLean, or Maines, I should say, gets really close to the left rear of Conklin. You see, throw a blanket over these top 3. They're right on top of each other.
I think Maines is kind of seeing that 96 getting really big in his mirror coming through the field. Kind of made a mistake trying to go to the bottom. You know, I think that he just got a little bit antsy seeing that 96 coming and thought that, man, I really got to get this pass done on Sean Conklin as soon as possible. And kind of gave the outside to Nicholas Roman. Roman was able to stick it onto his outside coming out of turn number 4, one of these laps, a couple laps ago, and was able to clear him. And man, Boyd Hogan makes a huge move around Justin Levine and Paul Bergoli going through turns 1 and 2. And now he's up to the P4 position all over the back bumper of Garrett Maines going down into turn number 1.
And he is flying right now. This top line is absolutely working for Boyd Hogan right now. As he moves to the bottom, he could drop that car, it seems like, anywhere he wants to. Side by side for 3rd place. Garrett Maines, of course, has dominated this race, but it doesn't look like he's dominating it anymore. Of course, even holding him back in a lot of ways. If I'm to be completely honest, as Boyd, of course, doesn't seem like he's able to really get the pass completed, though, on the bottom. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to possibly get to the top. I think that's what Boyd's going to want to do, but he knows that Maines is not going to give him the preferred. Oh, there goes Boyd. He loosed it and hits the inside wall, and that is going to possibly change his outcome of his race. Very good recovery. Didn't hit the wall very hard, but definitely is now going to fall back, I do believe, 215. Wow.
Oh, man. Boyd is not happy on the radio. Maines just kind of crowded him coming off the corner, didn't use all the racetrack, kind of acting like he was going to look to the inside of Roman, but he really wasn't there. So it's just a little tough because, I mean, I really feel like Maines should have tracked up to the wall, and he just didn't. And Boyd kind of got to the side of him, expecting him to track up, and he didn't. Boyd kind of calling his shot on the radio, saying, Garrett better hope that he did that too early. So I imagine if Boyd gets back to Hogan, if Boyd gets back to Garrett at any point, I think we're going to see the bumper come out. We're going to watch a replay of that happen here on GridVision.
Yeah, we're starting to see that those short track tempers starting to flare. As you see, Boyd was trying to make the inside work on Garrett Maines. Let's see exactly what happened here that causes Boyd to be frustrated. As right there. They are side by side. And you can see, like you said, Vroman, he was trying to get underneath Vroman, but just was not there. And Boyd just, is getting pinched down a lot. So you can understand why he would be somewhat upset in that situation. Of course, I don't think Garrett did it on purpose. I think it was just hard racing between two very competitive drivers. But of course, when it comes to these competitive, these talented drivers, they don't have long memories. They remember they do have long memory. He's not going to let that go, and I suspect that's going to come back and possibly, we'll see some of that maybe affect the rest of the race. We'll have to wait and see if Boyd's going to be able to cool down. I guarantee you he's driving angry at the moment right now, though.
Yeah, I definitely see what Garrett Maines was going for, right? Like you mentioned, he was trying to find that middle between Vroman and Boyd Hogan below him, but he just really wasn't there. I got to say it, and that's not really a mistake that you really expect from a Coke driver. But I mean, at the end of the day, it does come down to two guys going for the same piece of real estate. But coming off the corner here, if you don't have that overlap with the car in front of you coming off the corner, you really got to use all the racetrack. So kind of surprised to see somebody like Garrett Maines not do that. And obviously, Boyd Hogan kind of got the worst end of it. We're going to have to see if he can kind of make up all that lost ground, though. He's kind of back up to 12th place, about 3.5 seconds off of Garrett here. But man, Vroman is really just shoving Sean Conklin down the straightaway every single time he gets the opportunity. I think he's afraid of that bottom line. I think that he knows he's saving his tires better than Conklin at this point. We've seen how good Vroman is on the long run, so I think he's just hoping that he bides his time and can kind of get Conklin on the long run at some point. He needs to make sure that he can pass him in one corner and one corner only. It's got to be down in turn number 1 and 2 where he just wraps the bottom way better than Conklin 1 or 2 times. But yeah, he's just really got to hope that he can do it in one corner, or else it's just not going to work, and he's going to drop multiple positions as Maines is right over his back corner.
Yeah, Maines has got to be incredibly frustrated, too, because, I mean, he's led the majority of this race thus far, and it seems like he's having tough time right now. I don't know if it's the track conditions, the rubber being laid down is causing him to not be able to be as successful with his passes. But he seems like he's struggling to try to get by Vroman here. And Vroman, it's, you can't help but, you can't blame Vroman. Vroman's trying to get as many positions as he can. He's trying to race and win this race he wants to win just as much as Maines does. So even though these guys are on the same team, it doesn't mean they're going to cooperate, especially at a track like Bristol. This is not a plate track. These guys are going to race each other, especially we're getting closer to 100 laps to go. I mean, when you do 400 laps at a track like Bristol, you're going to get a little bit aggravated. You're going to start to see red. Those short track tempers are going to start to flare, and I think that's what we're starting to see here tonight.
Yeah, and it's just been so hard to pass on the bottom all throughout the night. I mean, anytime somebody's gotten to the inside of Garrett Maines, they haven't been able to make the move, stick. But Maines had at the bottom. Man, Nicholas Vroman looks to the inside of Sean Conklin. Finally, in turn 1 and 2, he's got that gap to Garrett Maines that time around where he could kind of go for it. And he does throw the block on Maines going down into turn number 3. Wasn't able to get the move done for the lead, but he had enough of a gap to where he could kind of throw the block on Maines coming out of turn number 2 and still hold on to that second place position. So you can tell Nicholas Vroman is just being very strategic with the moves that he's making at this point, making sure that he's got a gap to Maines before he makes the move on Conklin, because he knows just how difficult it is to make that bottom line work and stick to make a pass. He just about gets to the outside of Sean Conklin coming out of turn 4, but Conklin throws the block coming out of the corner. He was a little lazy getting up to the wall coming out of the corner, and it almost gave the gap to Nicholas Vroman, but Vroman just could not get there in time, and Conklin throws the block to make sure that he does not lose the lead at this point. And they're about to lap Dalton Collins, who I gotta say is a teammate of Boyd Hogan. So maybe a little bit of a hairy moment about to come here, coming off turn number 2.
Yeah, they're getting incredibly close. I mean, just to add a little bit of of another layer to it, to see Dalton Collins right there. Here comes Levine to the inside of Maines. Maines, I gotta say, the alarm bells have got to be kind of blaring in his ear right now that, hey, I gotta do something. He did get the line, though, that he needed on Vroman right there. He was able to get to top side. Oh, he gets really close to the side of Sean Conklin, almost like he was trying to side draft. And of course, side draft really doesn't work at a track like Bristol. But man, I guarantee you, Conklin is probably, I bet his heart rate is quite high right now. Probably a little bit concerned because he's like, you got this Garrett Maines who's very, I'd say, a little bit in the upset, I'd say.
Maines got to the outside in 3 and 4, and he's going to power by on the outside. What a crazy power move that was through turns 3 and 4 to be able to get to the right rear quarter panel of Sean Conklin. Caught Conklin sleeping, going down into the corner just a little bit, and that's going to let him take the lead really easily. If you get to the right rear quarter panel of somebody, you're going to get the move done.
No, 100%. I think that's what he's been looking for on Nicholas Vroman and Conklin. I mean, but he was able to do it, and I think it just was sheer willpower there for Garrett Maines. I think he just was like, I got to get this done and, get by these guys because he knows he's faster on the long run and all together. But he is starting to come up on some more lap traffic here. What a move there for Garrett Maines. Of course, looking back though, I've got to say Boyd Hogan is starting to come. He's up to 9th place. He was about 3.5 seconds back from this battle for the lead. Now he's 2.5, so he has been gaining a lot of that time back. I'm kind of surprised to see that, as we're almost verging on 3 wide for 3rd place.
Yeah, but that was as Conklin was leading, and Garrett Maines was trying to get by. Now that Garrett Maines has the lead and in clean air, it's going to be tough for Boyd Hogan to make up any of that ground. Boyd does have a little bit of damage on the left side of that race car too. Left front's caved in just a little bit. Left rear is up in the air just a little bit, so it's going to hurt Boyd Hogan over the course of the race. And we are nearing, towards the end, so it's going to be tough to actually get that damage fixed. Even if he gets a caution to come out, he'll have to drop way back through the pack. But we've seen his just crazy pace. If he does get that stuff fixed and he gets a couple cautions to fall his way, he could still find his way up towards the front of this field.
And of course, we're about 60 laps into this stint, so guys are not on the newest tires right now. They're starting to struggle. We're seeing almost a second fall off from a lot of these drivers, so the guys that were battling really hard are starting to struggle. And I think you could see Conklin's starting to back up. I think Roman a little bit to Levine. Levine's coming to the inside now. I think Levine has gotten a little bit better for his long run speed, because I know earlier in the race we saw that when the longer runs, it seemed like he just was struggling somewhat. But I'll tell you who's coming to the picture big time. Jordan Corrin in that 20 machine, of course, in the 51. We've seen him go from the back to the front quite a bit here tonight, and now he's up on the edge of the top 5 and has been really strong on that top group.
Yeah, Vroman's doing a good job holding off of Levine right here. We're looking at Corrin. Honestly, really good recovery. We saw him turn around sideways multiple times, and now running back into the top, top 6 right here, running in 6th place. So honestly, really good job from Corrin as Hogan makes another pass for 8th place on Kaufman, a little bit further back, but man, still a really hard battle for the P2 position.
100%, as we're now on lap 411. So I'm showing on my telemetry about 20 minutes left of racing. Now that's kind of shocking considering we still have 90 laps to go here in this race, but that just shows how quick the laps go at this racetrack, especially when these guys really get their heads down and start to just, to log laps. But we're starting to see that battle, as you mentioned, starting to heat up for 2nd place. Levine trying to make something happen on Broman. You also see Paul Bergoli sitting in the 5th position. Here comes Levine to the inside. Just no one's able to pass on that inside on the long run, especially. Oh, as Conklin almost gets into the wall, and I think that checked up Broman a little bit there.
I love this drone cam we got going on, though. You can see Conklin's really struggling in the middle of the corner, allowing Broman to get up to his bumper every single time going through the corner. Levine now onto the back bumper of Broman, looking to the inside, trying to make that move stick. Gets just a little bit loose. That's going to let Paul Bergoli get to the outside of Justin Levine, probably make that move work, and just kind of work his way back up to the back bumper of Broman and Sean Conklin.
100%. I mean, of course, that we've talked about it all race long. If you can get to someone's outside, you're going to be able to make that pass stick, and I think that's exactly what Paul Bergoli was trying to do. I see Justin Levine's lap time, 15.8, very much off the pace compared to the other drivers. Of course, he was in the midst of a battle at that time, so he's going to try to see if he can't get back to what he was running there before. As you see Broman, I think Broman is desperately looking to try to get his nose above Conklin here. As you see, Garrett Maines is driven away, 1.6 seconds now his gap to Conklin.
Yeah, you can really just tell Conklin's holding up these guys at this point. Those tires are starting to hurt. He probably burned them up trying to hold on to the lead from Garrett Maines for so long. And it's just really stacking up the drivers from second on back. But he's still running a good race. Very impressive to see Sean Conklin be able to hold on to this. And if he does get that caution later, we saw that if he gets the lead, it's really hard to take it from him. So I might have counted him out earlier, but if you can get the timely caution and get out of pit road better than Garrett Maines once again, then Conklin is not completely out of this race. And I think that he's seeing that. He sees, if I can hold on to this piece 2 spot, and we get a caution at some point, I'm not out of this. Oh, man, Alex Coffey goes hard to the outside wall right in front of the race leader. Oh, no, his group clobbers into him. That was Sean Conklin going hard into it. Boyd Hogan involved, Michael McLean, Nicholas Vroman, Justin Levine, everybody racing for the 2nd place position gets involved in that accident.
That was a big accident right there. You can see Vroman now missing his hood as we take a look back at this just pile of race cars, as Alex Coffey brings out a just race-changing caution. Oh, right there. You see, of course, you could see Conklin was trying to avoid that car, but unfortunately there was nowhere to go. Wow, what an accident. As we're watching Coffee, of course, Coffee was right there, 3 wide with Dalton Collins, lost it on the exit at turn 4. Oh, and they were just racing so hard and did not expect to see that lap car. Wow, just terrible to see all of those races affected based on, you know, that accident there. I mean, I think that's going to effectively end Vroman, possibly Conklin's race. Oh, I don't know. Conklin might have got out of that okay, because he didn't have near as much of a hit as Vroman did. Vroman hit so hard. I mean, I could feel that from up here in the booth.
That was tough hits from everybody, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, Roman's left front tires off the car from that replay right there, so he's definitely done. But I don't even know what to say. That's just, at this point, I mean, it was so much far after the accident to where it's hard to place like the whole thing on Coffee towards the end, because maybe these guys could have done something different. But that was like the 5th time that I've seen Coffee in a wreck, and most of them have been him spinning out. So at this point, you got to call it quits. Maybe the 25-point incident limit was too high. McLean comes in honestly really late. I've been singing his praises earlier in the race, but I think he kind of came in a little bit late, killed Hogan, and got into the accident a little bit late. Was able to kind of get into the back of Levine also. So I think McLean probably should have been a little bit harder on the brakes. Hogan could have probably gone to the inside to avoid that too. I don't know. There's a lot of second guessing that I'm doing throughout the field on that accident. I think so many different people could have done so many different things to make that not as bad as we're on board with Boyd Hogan. He does a good job getting on the brakes, but I feel like he probably should have, in hindsight, just gone to the bottom of the racetrack whenever he saw everybody just scatter like that. Kind of just stayed up in the racing groove and got clobbered from behind. It'll be interesting to see if he can get his damage fixed, though.
He didn't really get that much, I don't think, out of that.
No, I agree.
But still, yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, that was just that was probably the worst accident I think we've seen all race long, and it happens on, you know, 400 plus laps into the race as well. And you got to think that there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings. Probably a lot of drivers are not going to be sending any Christmas cards to Alex Coffey.
Yeah, that's, you ain't kidding about that. I mean, he's just about taken out a race leader a couple times, and while he didn't take out the race leader, he took out everybody from second on back. So I don't know. That's a struggle right there. That kind of frustrates me being this late in the race. Look, I gotta be honest, it's kind of dumb to try to stick it 3 wide at the back of the pack at that point. I mean, I don't really understand. You see the leader coming in your mirror, and also Coffee now is 21 laps down. Yeah, at the beginning, whenever the accident happened, he was probably 15 or 16 laps down. So I don't understand why the hell you'd put your nose in the middle of a couple guys and try to make it 3 wide. I mean, he caused that whole thing his whole self. So I really don't know what he was thinking trying to make it 3 wide whenever he's 16 laps down.
No, 100%. No, I agree totally. I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're not really racing for position there, and he killed a lot of people's races in that just now, and it's just unfortunate. His pace car, of course, has dipped down pit road. Green flag is back out as the remnant of the field, of course, battles for the win here. Garrett Maines, probably the most lucky one out of all of them. As, of course, we see a battle second place, Paul Bergoli and Jordan Corrin duking it out. Of course, Paul Bergoli has pretty much, I think, the best line. That top line has been the most effective at making passes. Definitely a big opportunity here. Let's see what Boyd Hogan's able to do. Of course, he is up to 5th after that big accident.
Caution, and we got another yellow. Out. God bless.
And I do believe this is Jason Wallet who is going to bring this caution out here, as well as Ronnie Kuritz. I do believe is well involved. As you could just, I think that, you know, the more likelihood that the cautions are more likely here later, because everybody's tired. Everybody's physically and mentally drained here. Let's see exactly what happened, though. I think that's, right there. You see, I think that was a multifaceted wreck right there itself. I think that might have been Sean Conklin that kind of led to that whole thing happening, if I'm not mistaken, because he kind of slowed down a little bit. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. We're gonna have to take another look at this one again.
Conklin went to the inside and was out of the way, though. Everybody up top, like that, there's no reason for anybody to make that reaction. Ronnie Kuritz got stuffed in the wall, so it is what it is at that point from Kuritz's perspective. Kuritz pulled off the wall a little bit coming into 1, but I mean, he's got to get out of the wall at some point, and Wallet should have seen that there's a car hard in the outside wall, but for whatever reason, he still ran the outside line going down into turn number 1. I mean, we see Wallet running the outside line, but Curious did come out of the wall pretty heavily. If I was in Wallet's driver's seat, I would have ran the bottom that time around. You know, you got to expect somebody's going to pull it off the wall pretty hard. I don't put the blame on Wallet because Curious did put it off the wall, but I mean, he could have done something to avoid that accident.
Yeah, and also we saw the contact that led to Kurtz hitting the wall, which I do believe was involved with Dalton Collins. So I think, that was kind of a multi-layered accident as well here. Of course, let's see exactly what everybody decides to do. Of course, I do believe for the most part, everybody's staying out on the racetrack. Of course, I do believe at the moment have 16 cars that remain on the lead lap. As you see, Kenny Powell trying to come off pit road to stay on the lead lap at the moment. But Garrett Maines leads. Of course, Paul Margoli second, Jordan Corrin in third, Nick Kaufman fourth, Boyd Hogan fifth. That's the top 5 at the moment, as we are now 70 to go here when we cross the line.
I'm hoping we can get a green flag run here to end the race, or I don't know, at least a decent run to see if we can get some tire fall off. Just a couple of people that were in that wreck just didn't get their damage fixed. 5th and 6th place, Boyd Hogan, Justin Levine. It's going to be hard for them to make anything happen with them not getting their damage fixed. I feel like they probably should have done it under the last caution, but I don't know. I've been really enjoying the entirety of this race, but the caution before that one just really soured it for me. It's irritating to see somebody so many laps down make a dumb mistake and cost a lot of the front runners. We saw in the short run, a lot of those guys could compete with Garrett Maines and maybe make something happen if they could just get the track position coming off the pit road, and we just see a car completely out of the race ruin it for everybody from 2nd to 5th. So I'm a little irritated.
I can't blame you. I mean, it's definitely an irritating thing to happen, that's for sure. Of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to go back green here, as we just saw yet another caution as we are getting very, very close to the end of the event. Of course, if we have a very good green run, this thing is going to fly right on by. But we'll see how the rest of these drivers really handle this. I mean, we got a lot of drivers that are probably a little bit teed off. We have seen some recoveries, though. I mean, Matthew Cox, I know earlier in this race, very much was struggling. He's back in it. He's sitting, I believe, 7th or 8th right now. Pace car, of course, has dipped down pit road. Green flag is back out in the air. Garrett Maines up through the gears. He's going to try to pull away from the field. Here comes Jordan Corrin trying to make something happen on the bottom. I think if Corrin can get to the top, I suspect that car is going to have a chance. We saw him really putting a lot of pressure on Maines earlier. I'd watch that 20. He could possibly make something happen with his short run speed.
Yeah, Jordan Corrin was really, really good earlier in this event. Just had a couple little mistakes, got caught up in other people's accidents, but he's done a good job just keeping the fenders on that thing. And at the end of the day, that's what you need to kind of have your shot at the end of this. And he's kind of caught a break with a lot of the guys getting caught up in that accident from the lap car, and just found himself in a really good position here, being in 3rd place. It's going to be tough for him to get past Paul Bergoli, and obviously it's going to be super tough to get past Garrett Maines. But we did see, like you mentioned earlier in the race, he was giving Garrett Maines a run for his money earlier. So it'll be interesting to see maybe if he can get past Paul Bergoli here pretty soon, if he could maybe challenge Maines at some point.
And I just really like his line. I mean, he really runs a little bit of a he runs high entry, then kind of diamonds down. But I think that as the track has started to wear and all the rubber has gotten laid down, it doesn't seem like it's working as well. Maybe he has a little bit of damage because he's starting to get really pressured by Nick Kaufman right now. Of course, Kaufman has had a really good run thus far. You even mentioned that we started this guy. Oh, he just got into the wall. We also see Justin Levine, I think, has gotten into the wall as well. I do believe William Kemp and Jose Acosta trying to avoid hitting him after that. But definitely things are starting to heat up here. We're almost on lap 440. But Garrett Maines out front, 0.3 of a second. But look at the run that Jordan Corrin's getting to the back end of Paul Bergoli. Race is definitely heating up. Garrett Maines is not really driving away right now.
Yeah, I think Maines is just kind of saving his tires, making sure he doesn't completely kill him so that he can keep the speed towards the end of the run. But, we've seen Corrin doesn't give a damn about his tires. I mean, he runs those things off trying to get every bit of position as he can early in the run. If he can get past Bergoli, he's going to give Garrett Maines a run for his money. He'll fall off after 20 laps. No, I mean, with nothing, I mean, he will have nothing after 20 laps. The 51 will have absolutely nothing left of those tires after 25 laps. But if he can get that race lead or pick up a spot and get to second on Paul Bergoli here before a pit stop, and he does just about get to the outside of Paul. Paul kind of crowds him up, then gives him the lane, and then really, wow, man, the 51 just throws it in so deep down into the corner, and he's able to get to the outside of Paul Bergoli, and he's going to take second. If he can somehow get to the race lead, just get to the back bumper of Garrett Maines and move him out of the way, trying to get that race lead, and then a caution come out, and maybe he takes the lead. We've seen it's just been so hard to pass, and the 51 has been so good on the short run here tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Corin is kind of a surprise victor at the end of this. He just needs the cautions to fall the right way for him, but it's going to take him a lot, you know, for that to happen. He needs this thing to maybe run another 10 laps, and then a caution come out before he completely falls off the face of the earth. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, man. We've been seeing a lot of cautions here recently.
We also see a lap car, Sean Conklin, slow on the bottom. As we come to almost 50 laps to go, Conklin, of course, gets out of the way, but you can just tell the damage on that machine is very much affecting the speed that he has. And lap traffic, of course, is going to be a considerable obstacle, considering all these cars that they're passing are heavily damaged. And when you have heavily damaged race cars on the racetrack, they're going to have much different pace. The momentum is different, and that could cause possibly another accident. As, of course, we see Corin still trying to make something happen on Maine. Also, I think I just saw Jose Acosta has been able to get by Justin Levine for the 8th place position. Of course, keep in mind, Levine is heavily damaged as well.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Levine to hold on to that thing. I mean, we've been seeing him drop like a rock. He's got a ton of damage, so it's going to be tough to see Justin Levine try to make something happen towards the end of this run. The leaders are going around. Our wrecking ball of the evening, Alex Coffey, does a good job that time keeping it on the bottom, make sure he doesn't, influence the end of this race any more than he already has. But Corin is really just hounding Garrett Maines at this point, trying to stick up with him, just trying to hold on to the back bumper of that 12 machine. But I think those tires are starting to fade at this point. He's having a hard time getting that run off of the corner that he had earlier. He's just going to really need a caution at some point so that he can put on 4 more tires and give it another go.
No, 100%. I think the race right now we're watching is on your screen. Paul Bergoli, Nick Kaufman, Boyd Hogan, all right here on top of each other. You see Michael McLean, I do believe, not even on the lead lap right now, is starting to really put a lot of pressure on these drivers. Oh, you see Roman slow on the bottom. That almost cost an accident in and of itself. As we see 3 wide with 48 laps to go. Can Hogan get by Kaufman? Hogan's probably already very upset, already a little bit, I think peeved. But Bergoli, I think, has got some damage as well, kind of holding up Kaufman.
Yeah, we've seen Kaufman be pretty good here towards the front of the field. He was really, really good earlier, running the top 5 the entire course of the night. Until a couple of the really, standard household names that we see up front kind of found their way back up to the front, like Vroman, like Conklin, and then like Levine got by him too, and Boyd Hogan. So he did lose a couple positions, but then all those guys got taken out in a little bit of an accident, and it's kind of brought Kaufman back into the swing of things here and being able to get a good top 5 run here going. And as long as he doesn't make a mistake, I think he's going to finish there. I think a lot of other guys just have too much damage to be able to challenge for those top 5 positions. So really good run here from Kaufman to stick himself up into the top 5 this late in the event. Really, really good run. And I had mentioned the 51 was falling off of Garrett Maines, but he's actually done a good job kind of holding that 0.2 of a second gap back from him. But at some point, those tires are going to fall off to where he just can't hold on to Maines anymore. And I think we're getting pretty close to that point.
No, I definitely think you're correct. In that judgment there. I mean, even last time by, he was definitely about a 10th off of the pace of Garrett Maines. So you see a half a second now starting to build there. As Michael McLean getting by that driver as well. I got to give a big shout out to a driver like Greg Wachinski. I know that he hasn't really had a banner stellar day here tonight, but he's on the lead lap. I think that's what the key to this race here tonight has been, is staying alive in this race. And I think that driver has done a really respectable job of doing exactly that. The same thing for Brett Stevens, another driver. I mean, we haven't talked a whole lot about a lot of these drivers that are up in the, still in the lead lap right now. But they're still alive, right? And that's something to be said, considering this is the last great Coliseum. This has been a battle, a war. Oh, the yellow flag is out. I'm not sure why.
No, our producer's going, guess who? I mean, you're joking, right? There's no way.
We're going to take a look back and see exactly what happened here. We're watching, and lo and behold, Alex Coffey down on the apron. I think, let's see exactly. Yep, he spins it out on the apron. I'm surprised that brought a caution out, to be honest. He takes a tow, and he brings out yet another caution here. He's making the highlight reel here in GridVision pretty much the wrong way. You don't want to do that, but guess who this helps out, though? Jordan Corrin. If he goes down pit road now, if everybody comes down and he comes down with him, he's going to have a much better shot at winning this race.
I'm trying to bite my tongue because I've had races like that where you feel like you just can't get out of the way. You feel like you can't do anything right. I get it. But man, you just got to call it quits at some point, man. I don't know. I'm pretty irritated at this point. I don't know. I don't think Alex Coffey's a bad driver, but it's just not been his night. But at some point, you just got to know you got to pull it off. You're 25 laps down. Just get off the track.
No, I definitely understand for sure. I get it. I mean, like you said, I think we've all been there, especially me with my low iRacing.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you know, dang, you didn't have to agree with me. Come on.
Yeah, I did agree a little quick, didn't I?
You did. You hurt my feelings a little bit. But you know. Like I said, I think this is a good shot for Jordan Corrin. He's got a really good long, short run, and I think this is the 35 lap run that he needs, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is his chance, right? I mean, he's got the opportunity finally. I'm interested to see. Boyd Hogan's been pissed off at Garrett Maines throughout the course of this event. I'll be very interested to see. He'll be starting in P4 coming off the pit road. If he can get clear of Bergoli on the restart, what's he going to do if he can get up to Garrett Maines? He's got damage, so it's going to be tough, but with the new tires, anything can happen. So I'd be interested to see if Boyd can get up to Garrett Maines and maybe give him the bumper.
I mean, he did say that that would be the case. Of course, it's been some time since that happened, though. So, I mean, maybe he's cooled it off a little bit, thought more about it. Like, you know, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that because, I mean, he still has a good shot at a good finish, right? I mean, I don't know if I really would jeopardize wrecking you both when you still have a good shot at a good finish. But you never know. I mean, you never know. It's a long race. I mean, you know, tempers are flaring. I don't know if these guys have had really a good shot to cool off. I mean, this has been an emotionally draining type of race for a lot of these drivers, I'd say. I mean, I would not be surprised that a lot of these guys are probably gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight after this one.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be right on that one. I'll have to give a little bit more credit to McLean. He was 4 laps down, was able to get one of his laps back the hard way on the racetrack, and then was able to get another get the wave around here. So he's gonna only be 2 down. So good job for McLean getting a couple laps back. Probably a little bit too late, given the fact that he was caught up in that late accident and just lost a couple laps. It's gonna be hard for him to get back on the lead lap. Especially now that Alex Coffey's disconnected from the server, so we're probably done with cautions. That sounds a little harsh to say, but that's about how it's been. I think he's been involved in like 6 of them, so maybe we'll be done with those going forward. The pace car's getting ready to pull off.
And here we go, getting ready to get things back under green as we're going to have a short run to the end, essentially. Garrett Maines has dominated the race thus far. And there he goes. Green flag is out. Boyd Hogan with a little bit wiggles under the green flag there. I think Nick Kaufman almost did get into him a little bit there. You could tell that definitely a lot of these drivers really need to nail this restart, especially if we go green from here. But Boyd Hogan getting a huge run around the high side. Can he get round Jordan Corrin here? Corrin getting a little bit loose. Here comes Boyd to the inside, side by side for second place. Boyd getting a little bit tight.
Yeah, if I'm Boyd Hogan, he's just got to bide his time. He should know that Corrin's going to get up to Garrett Maines because we've seen how hard Corrin runs. But, you know, we're getting down to the 30 laps to go, so Maines might not be in tire-saving mode whatsoever anymore. He might just be balls to the wall, just foot to the floorboard, trying to get away from this group, and I could definitely see that happening. But Corrin has just had the short-run speed, man. I mean, he's been able to keep up with Maines throughout the entire course of the event in the first 25 laps of a race, or of a run. So, and look at that run that he gets off turn number 4. Man, I mean, just crazy how much speed he had on Garrett Maines there. That
was a qualifying lap. Jordan Corrin just hit a 14.461. that was the fastest lap of the race, out of everybody. He had just hit a qualifying lap. That was almost as fast as the second place qualifier right there. Whoa.
That was extremely
wow.
impressive. I mean, if he can get side by side with Garrett Maines, and that's going to bring Boyd Hogan into this this race too.
Oh, some contact there for, I do believe, 5th place. Nick Kaufman, and I think maybe Jose Acosta just had some contact.
Corrin's looking to the inside of the race leader right now, though. Garrett Maines side by side with Corrin coming off of turn number 4. Corrin gets a surprisingly decent run coming off the bottom there. Still not able to stay side by side, but he dives it in again down into turn number 1. And this is what Garrett Maines does not need. He does not need Corrin sticking it side by side as much as he is, because he knows Boyd Hogan's pissed off. And I'll tell you right now, Boyd Hogan gets to Garrett Maines, he is moving the hell out of him at this point. I guarantee you that. So if the 51 of Jordan Corrin can get side by side with Maines and bring Boyd Hogan into this race for the win, I really think that Corrin's going to win. I mean, Corrin has the short run speed, and Boyd is pissed off at Garrett Maines. So if Corrin can just bring can bring Boyd Hogan into this race for the lead, I think that that's his best bet. So he needs to keep sticking it to the inside of Garrett Maines and just slowing up the driver of the 12.
Yeah, and he keeps trying to go to the inside, but I think he needs to really get his nose above Maines. But I think Maines is really doing a good job of protecting that top line. And you know, Jordan is not getting the run where he needs to get it. And I'm sure Boyd's kind of probably a little bit frustrated with Jordan as well. He's like, man, he's in between me and my prey, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. But I think that Boyd might be smart and bide his time. I mean, if he's been paying attention like we have to Corrin on the short run, he knows that Corrin's got crazy long short run pace, especially coming off the turn number 4. He gets such a good run coming off that corner every single time. Even in the dirty air of Garrett Maines, he's really working that outside line, cutting off the exit really, really tight, doing a good job. If he can just get that run coming off of turn 4, get to the nose under the driver of the 12, that's going to bring Boyd right into it. And honestly, that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see Boyd get past the 51 here. If the 51 gets to the inside, Boyd gets by him, and Boyd gives the bumper to the 12, and that's going to give us a hell of a show coming to the end of this with only 21 laps to go, coming to 20 at the line this time by.
I know Garrett Maines don't want that to happen. He's going to watch back this broadcast like, you guys are rooting against me.
I'm rooting for excitement.
Oh, yeah, that's right. As a broadcaster, I just want to see excitement, and I guarantee the excitement's getting ready to pick up, considering we have a lot of lap traffic in front of these drivers right now. As here comes Corrin into the inside, trying to use the lap car as a pick. This could go any sort of way, as you see Jason Wallet and another driver side by side. Ooh, Maines picking through like he's a veteran. Look at that.
Great job for Maines to get through the lap traffic. That does cost the 51 just a little bit of time, but we did see, again, the short run has been good for the 51. Can he get back up to the bumper of Garrett Maines? Can we get more lap traffic to kind of throw Maines for a loop? I don't know. It's going to be pretty close, coming to 17 laps to go this time by. And there is a little bit of a gap to the next lap car for Garrett Maines, so it's going to be tough to see if he actually gets held up by anybody. He's got a lot of clean track, but the caution comes out. That's going to be the 19 to Kaufman. He had such a good run going. He was running in the 7th place position at that time, and he is unfortunately sideways on the backstretch. So that's going to bring out the caution, bring everybody nose to tail, and I imagine nobody's going to pit. And guess who's going to be on the back bumper of Garrett Maines going down into the restart zone?
That's going to be a question mark right there, Boyd Hogan. And that is going to leave us with less than 15 laps to go here. And you see Kaufman, unfortunately, top 5 all race long. And unfortunately, he's going to fall back to 15th.
That was kind of his mistake, though. He kind of just washed up in the middle of the corner. Jose was there. It's not like Jose needed to track out of the corner at that point. They were still in the middle of the corner, and Kaufman just kind of came up. So unfortunate for Kaufman, but no damage. He's going to put 4 freshies on that thing, and he will have about 10 lap fresher tires than everybody else if he comes down pit road. So he'll be at the back of the lead lap cars, but he'll have a chance.
I got to give credit to Jose Acosta. I'll tell you what, we give him we pick on him a lot, but I'll tell you what, 6th place. He has survived almost all 500 laps of this event, and he's looking really good. I mean, he's survived, and I think that's a big talking point there. So congratulations to Jose. Hopefully he finishes this thing out and gets him a good finish.
Yeah, he's having a really good run so far, up to the 6th place position, and he's going to be starting on the outside, which I think is a little bit better on the restarts, going through turn number 1. Yeah, you get a little bit slower of a jump compared to the leader and the inside line, but you just get to wrap the top side full throttle all the way around. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he could pick off Whitendorf for a top 5 here.
Yeah, definitely would be cool to see that for sure. Definitely be a good points day there for Jose. And Garrett Maines, though, has been the dominator all race long as we wait for the pace car lights to go out here. Of course, we did see I think a driver or two come down pit road. I see Trevor Trago, I do believe, has went down pit road to possibly take a fresh set of tires. At the moment, we have 16 drivers that are on the lead lap, and I think that's pretty impressive, to be honest with you, considering this is a 500 lap race. I mean, I didn't expect to see this many on the lead lap, to be honest.
Yeah, we've had the cautions to keep everybody on there though, so it's not. I mean, I'd have to agree with you though. It's kind of surprising to see this many this late in the race, and nobody's only one lap down, so we're probably done with giving enough waiver rounds or lucky dogs to get back on the lead lap. I mean, maybe McLean could get 2 with a green-white checker to find himself with new tires on the GWC, but it'll be kind of tough to see that happen.
And I do want to also shout out James Watson. We're talking about guys that have survived. I mean, I know he's flirted with being a lap down a couple times for sure. He's back there in 7th place, so not a bad job there for the 12. I know that he usually doesn't run the next gen, but I'm good friends with James Watson. He mentioned that that he only really went during Bristol in the 500, so the next gen. So I say he's acclimated to this car pretty good.
Yeah, we saw him getting lapped earlier, and he's done a good job recovering up to the 7th place position. So great job from James Watson, not running the A car all too much, and now jumping in here, getting a nice top 10 probably. If I had to say, probably going to finish in the top 10. But we're going to have a green flag coming out with 11 to go.
You got to run all the laps. You got to run all the laps, right? As Garrett Maines is getting ready to take the green flag. Pace car, I do believe, is preparing to take that left turn down pit road. I do believe we just have to go through 3 and 4 here.
Boyd has not gotten off the back bumper.
He is definitely probably trying to rattle that one machine's, trying to rattle his cage a little bit, right?
I would say so. I'd be interested to see just how good of a jump Boyd gets here. He's all over the back bumper. Garrett Maines through the restart zone. Doesn't get a great start, but he is able to get just about clear the 51. If he can wrap the bottom, he's going to clear him. Going through turns 1 and 2. Let's see if he kind of pulls up above him. Nope, couldn't quite get it done. Actually doors the 51 going down the backstretch, but the 51 has that outside line. Oh, the 51 gets in the wall coming through 3 and 4, and that's going to allow Boyd Hogan to take that outside line. It'll be interesting now to see if Boyd Hogan can run down Garrett Maines.
Yeah, of course, Maines has about a 0.3 of a second gap right now, as we are now, I do believe, less than 10 laps to go. Garrett Maines has led almost every lap of this race thus far. Will he lead the last ones? As we see a little bit of a wiggle there from Jose Acosta as he is battling with Paul Bergoli. Still a lot of battling, still a lot of positions up for grabs here in the NIS top split race. Almost 500 laps completed, and it has been an absolute pleasure to call. Can Garrett Maines hold off the angry Boyd Hogan as Hogan tries to close in, now under 0.3 of a second?
And we're coming to 7 laps to go. He is getting there. He is cutting down into Garrett Maines' lead right now. Coming to 6 laps to go. Can Boyd Hogan get the job done? If he gets to Garrett Maines, he's giving him the bumper 100%. So Garrett Maines has just got to focus forward, try to run as good of laps as he possibly can. It's qualifying laps from here on out.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, they are on a little bit older tires, not able to really hit as the fastest laps they're capable of. So it's going to be pretty much a game of who saved the best, I'd say. Of course, they're still running some very good laps, 14.6s at the moment. They were only separated by, I do believe, 1,000th when it came to lap time that last time by. Boyd, let's see if he's able to send it here. He gets a little bit closer, catches up by a few hundredths, but he loses a little bit on the exit. Let's see what he's able to do. He's still getting some very good laps in. Last time by, he was just, I do believe he was about 400ths faster than Maines. Now about a 10th separate these two. It's going to come down to the wire, coming up to 3 to go.
I would not be surprised if he just throws it in deep from way far back going into turn 3 one of these laps. But Boyd Hogan is cutting into that race lead just a little bit, lap after lap. He is trying to get up to our race leader of Garrett Maines, going down the backstretch, loses just a little bit of time coming off the corner, but he dives it in deep down into turn 3, uses the brakes to turn the car in the middle of the corner, gets a decent run off, and he is still looking down the back bumper of Garrett Maines going down into 1.
And here we go, 2 laps to go here in just a moment. And can we make it to the white flag? Do we see a green-white checker? We've done almost 500 laps. You can see Boyd Hogan riding around the top side, and there it is, the white flag. Next flag will end it. What will Boyd do? He sends it around the high side, gets into the wall, and unfortunately, he is going to possibly even lose second place. Here comes the 51 trying to get by Boyd, but Boyd is going to hang on for second place. Garrett Maines wins in the NIS 500 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And what a race it has been. Maines led almost the entire race, probably over 300, maybe even 400 laps of this event. And he is going to come home with the victory. You see Boyd comes out showing his displeasure. Oh no, hitting each other after the checkered. Boyd not happy at all. I'm hoping we get a chance to talk to him.
Oh, Kenny Powell! Kenny Powell got hit! Garrett Mason, Kenny Powell!
But what a race here. You see the fireworks shooting off as Maines finishes his burnout. Wow. What an awesome race here. Let's go ahead and take us through the final results here of the 500 laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway as Garrett Maines continues to burn it down. Kenny Powell.
Kenny Powell. It had to be Kenny Powell, man. Like, he could have hit anybody, but it was Kenny Powell.
Anybody. Garrett Maines, your winner here after 500 laps. Boyd Hogan finishes in second place. Jordan Corrin in third. John Wittendorf, respectable fourth place. Paul Bergoli fifth. Matthew Cox, what a recovery from that driver, finishes in sixth. Jose Acosta in seventh. Justin Levine in eighth. Brett Stevens in ninth. Kenny Powell finishes in 10th.
11th was Trevor Trago. 12th, William Kemp. 13th, Nick Kaufman. 14th, James Watson. Unfortunate to see him fall back from 7th on that last restart. 15th, Greg Wyszynski. 16th, Sean Conklin. 17th, Ronnie Kuritz. 18th is Michael McLean. 19th, Benjamin Forrester. And 20th, Jason Wallet.
Gary Isaacs in 21st. David Granham in 22nd. Austin Fitzgerald 23rd. Brian Young 24th. Cody Richardson in 25th. Nicholas Vroman, unfortunate, 26th. 27th, Shane Davis. 28th, Alex Coffey. 29th, Dalton Collins. 30th, Jeff Carson. Of course, Joshua Watson in 31st. Just a terrible day here for that driver, unfortunately. 32nd, Justin Campbell. 33rd, Carson Breitel. Didn't see him out there very much. Jeremy Sumter, of course, got wrecked, I do believe, in the first 75 laps. He finishes in 34th and then last, unfortunately. And that rounds out this 34-car field. We're going to take a quick step away, play one more attention, or one more a little bit more time to our sponsors. We'll be right back and we'll talk to our top 3 finishers if they're available. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GridVision, of course, post-race coverage here of the Bristol 500 NIS top split. Of course, I do believe, I don't see our third place finisher, but I do believe we're going to probably go ahead and talk to our second place finisher. Austin Edstrom's going to be talking to Boyd Hogan.
Hey, Boyd, we got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, I was playing it up in the booth that you were going to get to him and move him after what we saw earlier in the race. He kind of got you the yellow flag penalty there on the restart, and then didn't use all the racetrack coming off of, I believe it was turn number 2 later in the race. So I really thought that you were going to get to him and end up giving him the bumper. Was that your plan if you could have gotten there?
Well, I mean, it's the same G-Mains you've been seeing the last 2 years, isn't it? 3 years? How long has it been? I don't know. He hasn't changed. Yeah. It's
I figured.
pretty typical. I will say, I mean, I love racing these races just to show up and race with them, but at the same time, you also got to understand he is kind of, he's our own version of Joey Logano. So, it is what it is. I don't know. It's a good little war. Got to thank everybody at Legacy for putting together the set. It was a good little piece, man. I came in on not a lot of practice. Dalton just asked me to race with him, so wanted to show up and have some fun and go have a little battle with G-Mains, and ends about how most of them do. So
yeah, it seemed like y'all had the fastest set, if I'm being honest. Every time that I saw you on the screen, you were coming through the field. You just got stupid unfortunate with, with just multiple different incidents that you really had no part of. Like, it was nothing you did, and you just kind of had to rebound multiple times throughout the race. Do you feel like if you had just been up front, like maybe even started in the top 3 and could have avoided all the kind of BS, that you would have probably won this race? Because I feel like you were probably the fastest guy out there.
Yeah, but he knows that too, so that's why he did what he did. So
Very
what can he do?
understandable. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected the answer to be. It seemed like y'all definitely hit the nail on the head with the setup this week, and y'all are just stupid fast throughout the course of the event. So unfortunate there that you kind of got so much unluckiness, and even towards the end of the race, just a bunch of damage in that last accident where we saw kind of the wrecking ball of the evening get sideways and take out everybody from second on back. So unfortunate that we had you get involved in so much stuff, because I think we would have had a hell of a race for the win here if your luck was just a little bit better. But still, congratulations on the top 3. And are there any other shout outs? You already said Legacy, and so congratulations to Legacy on building a great set, but any other shout outs you got for us today?
Yeah, I also got to thank Blackstone Management Partners, Champion Power Equipment, Curb Records, everybody for helping us out there. Reaper Speed Lab, you guys for putting on the show. It was pretty cool to have NIS broadcasted again. I used to race it a bunch when we had it broadcast every Friday night. There was a good little community of people racing it, and obviously there's less of that now, but I don't know, hopefully it'll come back one day because of y'all. So I appreciate y'all putting on the show and appreciate everyone's support.
Well, thank you, Boyd. We really appreciate that. We take that to heart. So thank you for the shout out right there. But yeah, sorry again that it didn't turn out the way you wanted. I think you're probably the fastest one on the track, but still congratulations on the P2 finish. Still a good run for y'all.
That was a good little war, man. Go into those guys.
Alrighty, that was our P2 finisher, Boyd Hogan. Next up, we're going to bring in Garrett Maines, who is standing by with Brian Britt.
Garrett, definitely a really dominating performance here tonight. I mean, you led, I think, probably 400 laps or so out there. But, just seemed like you guys had a really good car. You started in first, you finished first. I mean, of course, you did have a little bit, I'd say, battle with Boyd there, and you also had to battle with Jordan Corrin. I mean, it wasn't handed to you, that's for sure. Tell us how you feeling. What could you, what are you taking away from Bristol here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like we had the best car for every situation except a 10-lap dash, which, that wasn't really the plan, that it was going to come down to that. I will say the fastest short-run car lined up right behind us on that start, so I had to go as hard as I could there to be able to pull it off. But, I mean, thankfully, I had a great car under me. It wasn't like it didn't have speed, so, we were able to still get the win. And, it was really good in traffic. I was able to move around, and I felt like had the race just gone the way it was at the beginning of the race, we would have been in even better shape. But, we started having those cautions toward the end, and then I had put enough people a lap down. The field was literally strung out so far that pit road was closed when I needed to exit the pits. And so a bunch of people rolled by, got black flags, but inevitably somebody didn't realize it and got lucky, and then it opened before I could react and get my car rolling. So I lost a ton of spots, 2 separate occasions, due to that. Just, poor timing for me because of my position. My pit box couldn't time it, and thankfully we were able to recover and get away with one there.
Yeah, and it definitely was a very good day for you. I mean, lap traffic had to be quite an obstacle out there. How do you navigate something like that at a track like Bristol? I know lap traffic is not really a big deal at other tracks, but Bristol, it seems like it's exceedingly a big concern.
I feel like it's actually a separator. Like, it usually, if you're lapping people, there's enough of a pace difference that you should be able to pass them. And so it's really who can do it fastest and the smartest without, wadding it up. And so I felt like when I got to traffic, when I was battling, it was good for me. I could get away, save some more tire, and then hopefully be able to walk away once I cooled my stuff off. Or we were already just trying to navigate it, not lose any additional time, and pick people off one by one. And that's what we were able to do throughout the night. And I mean, like I said, we were able to move around. By the time we were catching lap traffic, I could use all 3 lanes, go wherever I wanted really, and get the car to stick. So shout out to the guys at Ryko. Ken built a rocket as usual, and it was nice to be able to hop in tonight. I've been out of town for the last week. This was my first laps on the set. Literally qualifying was my first lap. So it was definitely nice to be able to hop in and trust that we had a car underneath us.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys definitely had a really good race car there, Garrett. Great job on the race. I mean, a big crown jewel type of event here to, have a 500 lap race like this, and you lead as many laps as you did. I mean, it could have went wrong in so many other different ways, but you definitely stayed up there where you needed to be for sure, Garrett. Texas is next week. How you feeling?
Texas is not a track that I'm like, oh, let me sign up for that. But it's on the NIS schedule, and I need the points, so I guess I'll be there. But I mean, Raiko's always had a good piece there, and I am very confident that we'll be fast as usual. But yeah, I guess until then, I actually I don't know if I will be here for next Friday, but I will be here for Wednesday, so I'm at least gonna run the week. But I appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast. Makes this race extra special on Friday nights, and it's been fun.
It definitely was a lot of fun to watch you guys. I mean, 500 laps went by very, very quickly here tonight. So you guys made it easy for us. Garrett, who can we shout out after this big win here?
Yeah, I gotta give a huge shout out to Scott at MCU Body, Cover Seal, Bucked Up, Lennox. Like I said, the guys at Raiko, huge shout out to them for all their support this year. It's been very nice, like I said, to have some of the best cars out there every single week, and you see it in the running order. I got teammates all around me. It's super nice. But also a huge shout out to FGR XL for their support in the Coke Series.
All right, Garrett. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll see you. Hopefully, if we don't see you next week, we'll probably see you possibly at Talladega. Have a good night, brother.
You too. Thanks.
Alrighty, that was Garrett Maines, driver of course, the one car here tonight. Definitely a fantastic performance for him. Fantastic performance to everybody out there, really. I mean, the race went by very, very quickly. I mean, we saw some guys that, might not have been in contention early in the race, but they definitely were in contention late for sure. I got to give a big shout out to Jordan Corn. I don't think we got to talk to him, but if we see him again in a competition like this, I definitely want to pick his brain because that man was flying. I wonder what setup he was on, Austin. What do you think?
Yeah, his short run speed was actually incredible. If he would have had the lead over Garrett coming off of pit road, that last pit stop, I think Corin was going to win this race hands down. I mean, even to Garrett Main's credit, he said they didn't really have the short run set. So I do think that if Corin could have had the lead coming out of pit road at one of those late race cautions, I think that maybe he would have held on to the lead and just kind of walked that thing to the checkered. So unfortunate for him, but it's still coming through with a good top 3 finish. Great job from him. Like you mentioned, 500 laps done in less than 3 hours. Super, super impressive from the whole field to be able to get that done. Even if we did have a couple guys that kind of brought up all the cautions, this race probably would have been done in 2:15 or 2.5 hours. So really good job from the field just to get 500 laps done in such a quick amount of time.
100%. I had a ball hanging out with you tonight, that's for sure. I'm glad we got to watch this. Definitely had a good time. We definitely appreciate everybody out there that tunes in and, of course, supports us here. And, of course, we couldn't do it without the drivers out on the racetrack putting on such a fine product on the racetrack. And we're glad that so many people appreciate this too, as well. I think that means a lot, probably more to me than anything, is that we always get those, what even Garrett said, and Boyd, thanks for calling this. And we're kind of bringing some more, highlighting this NIS Open. It just means a whole lot to me. What does it mean to you, Austin?
Oh, it means a great deal. Just hearing Boyd saying that, and then also Garrett giving us a little shout out, it makes us feel good that we're doing something, bringing something to the Friday night NIS, and kind of bringing some more spotlight to the NIS series, making it a bigger deal. I mean, it's already the biggest deal for the non-pros on the series, or on the iRacing service. So it's really cool to just kind of add to that and just be a little part of that. So it makes me really happy just to hear hear the top guys say that kind of nice stuff about us. So really cool to hear.
100%. As you can see on our screen, we have the schedule here for the remainder of the week. Pretty much the only races we have are on Sunday. That'll be, of course, Global Racing Truck Series at Bristol at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, 9 p.m. that night, RGR is going to be debuting their Xfinity Series at Bristol as well. So that's going to be an exciting one for sure. And that brings us to the conclusion of tonight's broadcast of the Top Split NIS on GridVision. Of course, congratulations once again to Garrett Maines for picking up the win. Thanks to everyone that tuned in as well. I want to thank my co-commentator, especially Austin Edstrom, and, of course, the producer. I know we don't really get to hear from him a lot, or everybody at home doesn't get to hear from him a lot, but he does a fantastic job with all the camera angles and showing us the replays. And, of course, anyone else that is involved with GridVision, I want to thank them as well. My name is Brian Britt, and we'll see you next time.